A sellout crowd, a raucous crowd at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's a 74th annual All-State Sugar Bowl. The only team in the land unbeaten, the Hawaii Warriors, taking on the 10-2 Georgia Bulldogs. Just moments ago, head coach June Jones spoke to his Hawaii team leading up to the biggest game in school history.
The most important thing tonight is play like you belong. And you only can play like you belong when you play with confidence, okay? Everybody's fired up, everybody's got a lot of emotions, but go out there from the opening kickoff, have fun, freaking have a great time, and play with confidence like you belong, because you guys earned it and you deserve it. Just like Frank said tonight.
Well, a Happy New Year, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis and Chris Myers, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to our BCS Bull Bash here on Fox. Charles, I think you and I and the entire country so very much intrigued by this matchup. Hawaii's offense, Georgia's defense. Hawaii scores 46 points a game, and they're led by their All-American quarterback, Colt Brennan.
And 131 touchdown passes in 3 years makes quite a statement, but it's been his leadership, his enthusiasm, and his belief that's brought Hawaii to the big stage tonight. Now as he makes the final walk towards the field, a moment to gather his thoughts.
Just keep saying it. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's just a fun little game. We're going to go out and play and just keep it at that. Because if I realize what I'm playing for or the stage I'm on, it may take away from, what it's all about. If I can block that all out and just focus on that football and the 11 guys on defense and my other 10 guys with me, it's going to be all good.
They need to be all good. Let's face it, Charles, this Georgia defense in the powerful Southeastern Conference, they allow only 21 points per game. Unquestionably, the biggest task facing Colt Brennan in Hawaii this entire year.
Without a doubt, because this is the best defense they will have played. But for Georgia, the challenge has been trying to replicate Hawaii's offense in practice because of its timing, its precision, and Colt Brennan's accuracy. But Georgia's advantage, they believe, is their overall speed on defense. They can run at every position. But tonight, the first quarter will tell the tale of this ball game because both teams will try to impose their style and their tempo on the other. Will it be Hawaii's run and shoot offense or Georgia's hit and run defense that has the advantage?
Colt Brennan, 29 NCAA records. And just to think, Charles, it's only been done in 3 years. Had he been a 4-year starter, of course, he would own every record in NCAA college football. Standing by with June Jones is Chris Myers.
It is electric down on the floor of the Superdome, Tom. And Coach, what a journey. 0-12, you take over a program. You're 12-0. The magnitude of this for Hawaii, more than just a college football game. How do you describe your emotions?
Well, I'm pretty calm. I'm hoping the guys are pretty calm. We've been talking about all week that we just need to play like we belong in this game. We haven't done that. We've been trying to get to this level where we can play some SEC teams. This is one we open in Florida next year, and hopefully we'll play like we belong.
Colt Brennan, your centerpiece. How do you expect Georgia to at least come out at the start of the game and play him defensively?
Well, I kind of think they're going to try to put some pressure on him. He's been known if you're back there and give him time, he's going to pick you apart. And he has a very quick release, and he's seen everything that you can see in the last 3 years. So hopefully we'll play well and play with confidence.
All right, June. Thanks very much, or mahalo, as you like to say. Happy New Year.
Mahalo.
All right, Tom.
Chris, thank you very much. We have so much enjoyed our time with both of these head coaches, June Jones and Mark Richt. For the Bulldogs, a very balanced offense. They have a dynamite running game, Charles, led by a dynamic duo. The senior and 6th leading rusher in school history is Thomas Brown. He will get the start tonight. He's been injured pretty much the last couple of years. But we will see plenty of the electrifying freshman Noshawn Marino. He rushed for nearly 1,300 yards this season.
They are the playmakers of Georgia's team. These two running backs get it done for them. Mark Richt's been known as a throwing coach, but he's had to change tactics a little bit this year, and why not with those two?
Well, speaking of Mark Richt, he is standing by with Chris Myers.
And thank you very much, Coach. A young team, right? Start 4 or 5 seniors. What did you tell your team about playing on this stage tonight?
Oh, it's just going to be a great game. We really don't know what to expect. You'd like to have some kind of point of reference, but we don't play anybody they play. They don't play anybody we play. And we're going to find out here in the first few series just what's about to happen.
At least offensively, do you try and run the ball? I mean, you have a balanced attack to keep their offense off the field.
Well, we always try to run the ball, so we'll do that, but we play action pass, and we'll throw a little screen here and there. Whatever we do, we'll have a plan.
Should see a lot of points. Thanks, Coach. Happy New Year to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Coach Mark Richt. Tom?
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Many have made the trip from the Hawaiian Islands. Some have just driven down the road from Bulldog Country. The coin toss is coming up next. Set for the coin toss here at the All-State Sugar Bowl. Colt Brennan taking a look at the coin, making sure there's a head and a tail.
Sugar Bowl MVP Archie Manning to flip the coin. And you have won the toss. You want to receive. Slide around with your back over there. Hawaii wins the toss, elects to receive to open the game.
Get a look at some of the former Sugar Bowl most valuable players. Pepper Rogers in 54, Kenny Stabler, Archie Manning, Don McPherson, Eric Redd, Rohan Davey. We're ready to go. Are you? You're watching the BCS Bowl Bash on Fox. We can't wait to get a look at this offense in person, led by Colt Brennan. He gave us the scouting report on each of his receivers. Andy Bailey to handle the kickoff duties tonight for the Bulldogs. Malcolm Lane, 89, has brought back 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns this season, and he fields from his own 10. The All-State Sugar Bowl is underway, and Lane out to the 40 and is tackled at the 43-yard line. Well, here comes Colt Brennan, the 2007 WAC Offensive Player of the Year, finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy balloting. He holds 29 NCAA records, including passing touchdowns with 131. He is extremely, if not enormously accurate, 71% completion percentage.
And they're not all dinks and dunks downfield. I mean, throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. He can throw it downfield and does it very well.
Wide open offense, 4 receivers, 1 blocking back, and down goes Brennan. It appeared as though there was a whistle before the snap of the football. That's why everybody stopped. The flag came from the far sideline in front of the Hawaii bench.
Delay a game by the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That is a very unusual start. Opening kickoff, great enthusiasm, bringing it back over the 40-yard line, and you get a delay of game coming off the bench, considering Hawaii doesn't huddle very often. So that's very unusual for the Warriors.
June Jones took over in 1999. Of course, Mark Richt in his 7th season at Georgia, 71 wins against just 19 losses. Trying to show some emotion, something he thought his team direly lacked the early part of this season. Again, movement. Keone Steinhoff, the right tackle.
Slow start, 78 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
First 2 plays of the game, penalties against Hawaii. Many people would say noise would be a factor. Well, they have a great contingent of Hawaii fans here. Noise will be a factor, but even more so, nerves. The big stage for Hawaii, so much to prove in this ball game.
There are a lot of teams in the WAC that would tell you Hawaii should start every series 1st and 20 the way they score.
Might even things up for them.
Brennan looking around and incomplete on his first pass to the intended receiver, Devon Bess. Bess has a chance to go down as arguably the greatest receiver in the history of college football. We'll talk about that throughout the night. Bess already the WAC record holder with 286 receptions. Up front, a solid offensive line. Satelli, the left guard, a first-team all-WAC performer. 4 receivers, Rivers, Bess, Bryce Mullen, Hawthorne, could play anywhere. Mark Richt told us, as did defensive coordinator Willie Martinez, They could play in the SEC, the Big Ten, the Pac-10, you name it. 0 for 2 is Brennan, and hits the deck for the first time tonight. Marcus Washington put him to the ground. The Bulldogs defensively. Up front, Marcus Howard leads a charge with 7.5 sacks. This unit allowed 21 points per game. A linebacking core. Donnell Ellerby, their leading tackler, not officially in the starting lineup. We'll see plenty of him. And Keelan Johnson, a senior, 2-year starter, the strong safety, the heart, if not the soul, of this Georgia defense. 3rd and 20. They dump it off to Farmer from the fullback position. He's run down from behind. So after back-to-back penalties before they ever got off a snap, Hawaii forced to punt it away on the first completion by Colt Brennan.
Really could not have been a better series for the Georgia Bulldogs on defense to start this game. Hawaii, so dangerous on offense, moves themselves back on the first two snaps of the game with penalties. Then they can't make up the yardage, and Georgia's defense looking very good, very comfortable on this first series.
Well, you think about 12 games, their punter, Tim Grasso, has only punted 32 times the entire year. Mikey Henderson, the senior from Buford, Georgia, stands back at his own 15. A hit the same time the ball hit Henderson, and penalty flags litter the field at the Superdome. Keenan Jones delivered the blast, but he will be penalized for it.
So much emotion, so much at stake in this game for Hawaii, wanting to show everyone what they can do. And already we've seen how the emotion has gotten the better of them. And for Keenan Jones, very, very close to helmet contact on the hit, leading with his head on this play.
We have a Pac-10 officiating
Kick catch
crew.
interference by the kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Tom, Hawaii is so excited emotionally. They are really over the top at this point. They've got to find a way to settle in. If I'm Georgia with this field position, I go misdirection, I go play action, I try and get something cheap early in this ball game before Hawaii's defense settles in.
And hopefully Henderson is all right. He took quite a lick from Jones. So now Matthew Stafford, the sophomore from Dallas, Texas. In his second year as a Bulldog starting quarterback. Quick throw, and the catch is made by Sean Bailey, the senior out of Alpharetta, Georgia. Grew up in a football family. His father, Stacy, caught 211 passes in an NFL career with the Atlanta Falcons. Stafford made a lot of mistakes last year, but hey, he's a starter as a freshman in the SEC. This year, 18 touchdowns against just 9 interceptions. They think he has a chance to be a great one.
He turned the whole ratio around, 7 touchdowns to 13 interceptions as a freshman.
O'Shawn Marino in the slot position. Movement again along the line.
False start. 63 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Well, it's not just Hawaii that's excited about this one. Georgia starting out a little sloppy too. And think about the time off between games. We're over 30 days for both teams coming into this one. Might take a little while to get the rust off.
Well, this offensive line is young, to say the least. They start 3 freshmen, 2 of them true freshmen. The leader is the senior from Rennes, Georgia, Fernando Velasco, their center. Thomas Brown, the senior, starts in place of Marino. Sean Bailey, Massaquoi, the wideouts, and Brandon Sutherland does everything for this Georgia offense. Empty backfield, they throw it to Chris Durham. And he has first down yardage into Hawaii territory, shoved out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Mark Richt told us that it's Durham who has been his most improved offensive player during bowl practice.
And he shows it early in this game. Out wide, you'll see Durham 16 get the pass, but watch number 20, Thomas Brown. Look at the block right there. Beautiful job on the lead, and then after that, Durham lowers his shoulder and runs through the tackle of Jacob Patek.
First and 10 after the 14-yard pass completion. This is Thomas Brown, and he lunges forward inside the 40, spotted at the 39. A gain of 6 for Brown, who has been injury-riddled the last 2 years. He is Georgia's 6th all-time leading rusher, but tonight is just his 12th start in the last 2 seasons. You see, he still finished with 700-plus yards this year, including 139 in the final game of the season against Georgia Tech. Brown again. First down to the Hawaii 32. Let's check in downstairs with Chris Myers.
Tom, on the Georgia sideline, a developing story here with Noshawn Marino, of course, a left ankle sprain against Georgia Tech in the fourth quarter. He re-injured it about a week ago in practice. The last 2 practices have been okay, but I was in the training room and they have protected that with a special wrap. He told me he's fine to go, but the trainer said we won't know until he gets at game speed and gets hit at game speed. So they'll be watching Marino closely once he's in the game.
Great stuff, Chris. Thanks. Marino's 6 100-yard rushing games this season, and they'll give it to Brown again. And for the first time, slowed down at the line of scrimmage, maybe a pickup of 2.
Brandon Sutherland, the fullback, was the lead blocker on this last play. And Tom, you've already noted he does a little bit of everything for the Bulldogs. Can run the ball from the fullback position, although his carries are down this year as opposed to last season when he led the Bulldogs in rushing. He can go into the slot, catch the ball, and we've already seen him as a lead blocker tonight.
Second down and 7 at the Hawaii 30. And now Stafford will check off. Short drop. Incomplete. It brings up 3rd down and 7 for the Bulldogs.
Tony Wilson, the receiver, slipped making his cut, giving Stafford no chance to complete the pass. First 3rd and long situation on the night for Georgia. Let's see what Greg McMackin dials up for Hawaii. And they've had favorable down and distance on defense. They like to go after the quarterback.
Hawaii's defense 9th nationally, averaging better than 3.5 sacks per game. And they hand it off to Brown, and he just dances behind some of those big offensive linemen and very close to a first down. He needed to get to the 23-yard line. It looks like he got there. It is a first down.
Concern for Georgia coming into the season was a young offensive line that's grown. Look here, Trenton Sturdivant, a true freshman. See how he pulls and helps seal, and then Brown reads it, and he gets a second block on Adam Leonard, number 44, finding the cut and getting back inside. Sturdivant, a 4.1 GPA coming out of high school, National Honor Society student, and a big hoss on the offensive line.
First down at the Hawaii 23. This is Marino. And was he down or is he still going? To see where the official spots the football. With Nomar Marino, it's hard to tell whether he's ever down, because you'll see throughout the night tonight, for those of you that have not seen the Georgia Bulldogs play, when he hits the ground, he is right back up running back to the huddle.
It's what my coaches used to tell me when I was playing, and all my teammates. When you hit the ground, it's like an electric shock, or act like the ground's on fire. Hop right up and get back to the huddle. Noshawn Marino brings that kind of enthusiasm to the Georgia Bulldogs team.
Saw that list of freshman running backs in the history of the Southeastern Conference, and where Marino ranks with his 1,200+ yards. He breaks it to the outside. Marino, touchdown, Georgia. A 17-yard touchdown burst for Marino. His 13th rushing touchdown this season. And now Katu for the point after. Not a good start at all for the Hawaii Warriors. A sloppy opening possession on offense, and on defense, the running game of Georgia, an early strike. These amazing pictures are provided by the DLP Amazing Picture Cam. DLP is the official HD TV of the BCS on Fox. It's amazing. It's the mirrors.
And what they saw were 10 players from Hawaii in the box. Supposedly, that's what you do to stop the running game. Instead, Georgia's offensive line, Trenton Sturdivant, number 77, Chris Davis, 63, Fernando Velasco, 75, and Brandon Sutherland, the fullback, number 36, leading, chopped a huge hole that allowed the big touchdown run. But when you have 10 in the box and that happens, that's discouraging for a defense.
Brandon Sutherland has just been such an outstanding player. I mean, he's not going to get the headlines, but he is a good football player.
And when they need exterminating help, they'll be coming to him. Grandfather has an exterminating company. He's set to take it over when he's ready.
Malcolm Lane from the 12-yard line had a big return on the opening kickoff. And not bad here out to the 33-yard line. Hawaii gets the football back, trailing the Bulldogs out of the SEC, 7-0. 10 men in the box. A Fox jumper scope helps explain.
Beautiful look, and that's exactly what Georgia ran against, the 10 in the box, which means someone is out on the island. There you have everyone by the line of scrimmage, the corner, one-on-one. And then when they chop the hole up front, it's easy sailing for the freshman sensation, Noshan Moreno, with some help out wide from Muhammad Massaquoi, his wide receiver.
So Hawaii gets the football for the second time. The Warriors lead the country in scoring, averaging 46 points per game. Quick throw to Jason Rivers. They run that play a great deal, where he'll slip in from the far wideout spot and catch almost like a screen, and weaves his way for a 10-yard pickup.
Exactly what it is. It's like it becomes a tunnel screen where he comes inside, tries to get a kick out block to the outside, seal to the inside, and he's supposed to catch it and get right into the alley, into the secondary. Exactly what was accomplished on that play.
For Jason Rivers, a reception in now 50 consecutive games. Each team with one possession thus far, 3 and out for the Warriors. 9 plays, 66 yards for the Dogs. Brennan, a perfect toss, and the reception is made by C.J. Hawthorne to the 40-yard line. First down, Hawaii.
This throw from Cole Brennan to the outside where only his receiver has a shot, but look at him throw it right over the top of the defensive back. Number 3, Brian Evans. Watch this, right over the top of Evans, and then knowing he's going to take the shot, Hawthorne still concentrates and comes down with the football.
Hawthorne, a cornerback a season ago, brought him back to the offensive side. He was their 4th leading receiver. We're going to take a look at that one upstairs to see if he had possession before he came down and if he came down inbounds. But Hawthorne, the 4th leading receiver with 57 catches on the year. Mercy. Our aerial coverage brought to you by Bud Light. Endless refreshment from start to finish. Bud Light keeps it coming. Welcome back to the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans at the Superdome, the home of the BCS National Championship game presented by All-State, coming up Monday night here on Fox. The play on the field stood, a completed pass to Hawthorne. So 1st and 10 Hawaii at the Georgia 40-yard line. Brennan fires quickly. Devon Best chopped down by Brian Evans, but that's a 5-yard gain. Best, a 3-time first-team all-WAC performer, was charged with a crime, driving a car which had stolen merchandise in it. He said he was being a good friend, doing a bad thing. He went to a youth detention center in Northern California, played in 7-on-7 flag football, spent an entire year at that facility. They wound up playing a local high school in flag football, and that's where Hawaii saw him on tape. And I tell you what, he might have made a mistake as a youth, but he is a delightful young man.
Tremendous young man. We've really enjoyed our time with him.
Brennan, great protection. Open space, not a big scrambler, but good enough for a first down to the 28-yard line. A gain of 7.
I love Colt Brennan's savvy, and doesn't it appear that Hawaii's settling in now? You know, Georgia already has bloodied them a little bit with the first score of the game. The mistakes have kind of been washed away, and on this drive, this looks more like the Hawaii that we've seen all year long. But Brennan looks downfield. Georgia takes away his receivers. He steps up and runs it. I know that there's a concern about him doing that due to the concussion he had this year, suffered against Fresno State.
Kealoha Polares, a true freshman, checks in for the first time, but they get the ball in the hands of Bryce Mullen. And he's to the 25-yard line. Let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
After that initial series, when the offense came back to the sideline, it wasn't a coach, it was Colt Brennan who gathered some of the players and said, hey, let's stay calm. We were amped up to start. We're excited. Let's show that we belong here. It's what June Jones said in his opening remarks. Hawaii has to prove to everybody they belong here. And Colt Brennan told his offensive unit to do that, we have to calm down. Tom, Charles, looks like they're doing that on this drive.
Well, they fell behind 21-0, as you mentioned, against Washington, their last game of the season, and rallied back. You don't want to make a habit of that, especially against a team like Georgia. First down. Quickly to Devon Best. Wow, what a move, and that's a 5-yard pickup, although a penalty flag comes down. Man, what a move.
Terrific move. Now, Willie Martinez, the defensive coordinator for Georgia, he set a goal of no more than 3 yards after every catch for Hawaii. If they can hold them to that average, they would be in great shape. That actually was a pretty nice play by Georgia swarming, but Devon Best with that move ended up getting more than what appeared to be there for him.
Offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay second down.
Hold against wide receiver Jason Rivers. Told you a Pac-10 officiating crew tonight. Our referee is Brian O'Kane.
This is what Hawaii has to avoid. They make positive plays, then push themselves back into long-distance situations. Even as explosive as Hawaii is, if you're playing behind the chains all night long, that's very difficult to go against the Georgia defense.
For second down and 15 at the Bulldogs' 33-yard line. Brennan hangs in there, finds Rivers, and he is chopped down by Asher Allen down to the 23-yard line. A pickup of 10.
Look what Willie Martinez is doing right here, all right? Check out the linebacker. That's Akeem Dent, number 51. Watch him go to the middle of the field, almost like a Tampa 2 look, using a linebacker. Georgia all night long has had 5 defensive backs on the field, but they like to still play with their linebackers. So if there are 3 linebackers in the game, that means they're just going to have 3 down defensive linemen.
Trips to the right. Rivers split left. 3rd and 5. Looking for Rivers. Contact and a flag comes in. Asher Allen, like every cornerback known to man, saying he was pushed by the wide receiver.
I understand that.
Yep, you do. Your former defensive back days at Tennessee.
I get it. The tough part for Asher Allen, and the penalty will go against him, was going to be difficult for him if you're matching Jason Rivers. Remember, Colt Brennan said that's their most physical guy. And that's exactly what Jason Rivers is, a big body guy.
Pass interference, number 2 on the defense. Automatic first down to spot of the foul.
It's the one-on-one matchup. Asher Allen in great shape here. Rivers, I think what they got him is that he had his hands on him through the entire route. And in college football, there's no 5-yard rule about the bump zone, but your hands have to be off the receiver when the ball's in the air. Asher Allen had his hands on him the entire time.
Ball spotted at the 18-yard line for the Warriors. Trying to tie this one up. 5:45 to play in the opening quarter. Brennan steps up, looking around. And he is hammered out of bounds by the freshman Rennie Curran.
What a get-off for the Georgia defensive line, rushing the passer on this play. That was Jeremy Lomax, number 55, who got off really almost before the snap of the ball, but the officials determined he was still onside. He flushed Brennan early, got him to the sideline, but mission accomplished for Georgia. No pass downfield, and Rennie Curran got another hit on the quarterback, Colt Brennan.
Brennan has hit on 7 of his first 9 for 48 yards. Screen to David Farmer, and the fullback is cut down at the 17-yard line. A late flag comes in.
Might be a late push against Hawaii, against Jason Rivers blocking, knocking someone back into the pile as the play ended.
After the play, dead ball personal foul, number 84 on the offense, 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's the second big penalty on this drive against the wide receiver, Jason Rivers.
Sometimes when you hear all the time how you don't belong somewhere, or people are questioning your credentials, you take your physical play to another level. And for Jason Rivers, who's a physical player to begin with, maybe a little bit of that has seeped into him tonight as he's trying to prove a point against the Georgia Bulldogs. But how about that screen pass, which looked like it had an open area, and Georgia rallying back to the football. The speed we discussed in evidence on Georgia's defense on that play.
A pair of penalties after getting down to the 18-yard line, 3rd and forever. The inside handoff goes to Polares, and he's to the 24-yard line. And June Jones will send out the field goal unit led by kicker Dan Kelly.
Very important for the man they call the Iceman, Dan Kelly, to knock this one through the posts. I know it's early, but they've had this drive. You just discussed it, Tom, how they got downfield, pushed themselves back with penalties, some mental mistakes. But if they get 3 on the board, they've answered Georgia's touchdown, and that will still have a settling effect on Hawaii.
42-yard try for Kelly, who hit on 11 of 16 during the season. Good snap, good hold, good kick. So the Warriors on the board with 4:20 to play in this opening quarter.
Very nicely done by Hawaii. They hurt themselves with penalties on this drive, mental mistakes, but they have answered.
On the first drive, a 3-and-out drive for Colt Brennan and company, hit on 1 of 3. The last drive, perfect, but a couple of penalties really hurt him, forcing the field goal rather than trying to get into the end zone.
One of the things about this game that people talked about coming into it was Georgia controlling the clock on offense and keeping Brennan on the bench. But without scoring, if you control the clock, means nothing against Hawaii. Georgia did that on their first drive. Hawaii, equally important for them. They don't have to worry about controlling the clock, but scoring, obviously a key. Georgia's defense happy, holding them to 3.
Asher Allen from the 4-yard line. Still on his feet. All the way out to the 35-yard line. Timo Paiapule on the stop. The Georgia offense, led by sophomore quarterback Matthew Stafford, has thrown for 18 touchdowns this season. He will spread it around, use a lot of different receivers in the tight end. Noshawn Marino, the SEC's freshman of the year, 1,273 yards already with a touchdown tonight, his 13th this season.
1st down.
Marino, the 17-yard touchdown run, but he will be sharing time in the backfield tonight with the senior, a healthy senior, Thomas Brown.
And that's not a problem for Georgia. 139 yards for Thomas Brown against Georgia Tech. The only thing that slowed him down in his career has been injuries.
Same with Craig Lumpkin. He was their leading rusher last season and has missed nearly all of this year. This is Brown. That'll be a pickup of 8 out to the 43-yard line, tripped up by Solomon Elimimian, the middle linebacker and leading tackler for the Warriors.
The task for Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator for Hawaii, is to try to find a way to control this Georgia running game. Very difficult because they don't get to work against it in practice. They're going against their run and shoot deep offense, and that's not the same thing. Not even close. Hard for them to replicate it, so they have to almost do it on the run each ball game.
McMackin in his second go-round as defensive coordinator in Hawaii, and Brown still on his feet inside the 40 to the 37-yard line. A pickup of 21 for Thomas Brown, playing in his final game as a Bulldog tonight.
Nothing like a big isolation play, and look at the big guys. 2 fullbacks in the backfield, number 49, Sean Chappis, and number 36, Brandon Sutherland, in tandem with a big offensive line. And once again, against a loaded box, a missed tackle there by number 24, Desmond Thomas. Another one by number 27, Ryan Mouton.
Stafford play action, rolls right, throws to his tight end Chandler, and he's to the 25-yard line. Another Georgia first down.
Like what Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, has going for Georgia tonight. Opened up the first series of the game actually throwing the football. When everyone thought, oh, the run game for Georgia. Well, he threw the ball to try and loosen Hawaii up a little bit and to let them know that they will not be stereotyped in their play calling. Now, after some big runs on 1st and 10, he threw the ball again.
They pitch it to Brown. And a nice play, charging from the far side, made by Blaine Soares. He was hurt a great deal this season, but finished the year a strong game against Washington.
That's just terrific backside pursuit by Blaise Soares. Coming from his outside linebacker position, just ran the play down from the backside. Expected to be a starter going into the season. Had a number of injuries. Shoulder, hamstring that held him back. But he did finish strong against Washington with 7 tackles.
Stafford out of the shotgun, inside handoff to Brown, and Adam Leonard steps up to make the hit. Maybe a yard. Hawaii's defense, led by their leading tackler, we mentioned Solomon Elimimian. Up front, number 94, keep an eye on him. David Bekune, 7.5 sacks. And we just mentioned the name Adam Leonard. 4 interceptions, returned 2 of them this year for touchdowns. A defense that has made remarkable, staggering improvement in each of the last 4 years, but especially from last year to this year. Stafford dumps it off to Marino, spins out of a couple of tackles, and bangs his way to the 10, first down, Dogs.
So now you've got Brown and Moreno in the game. Now watch what they do. They swing Brown, number 20, let the pursuit bypass, and dump it inside to Moreno. Now he gets Velasco, 75, out front. 67, Chester Big Cheese Adams. And he gets all the way to the 3rd level for a big pickup for the Bulldogs. I love the misdirection there from Mike Bobo.
Something you thought they might do very early in the game.
Use it against the emotion of the defense of Hawaii. Have them overcommit, hit them inside.
Marino will get it again. It's into the end zone for the 2nd time tonight. There's a very strong chance that before his 4 years are over at the University of Georgia, that Marino is going to strike up Glory, Glory, Hallelujah more than any player in Bulldogs history, Herschel Walker notwithstanding. So far, one of the great fears for Hawaii was being able to not slow down this Georgia running attack. And already the Bulldogs have rushed for almost 90 yards in the opening quarter.
They're dominating the defensive front of Hawaii. It doesn't matter whether they're 7, 8, 9, or 10 in the box. Georgia's having their way with Hawaii right now in the run game.
Good kick by Bailey, sending Lane back to his 3. And covered beautifully. DeMarcus Dobbs, the first man down the field. Of course, the Bulldogs know all about the All-State Sugar Bowl. Their first in 1947 against North Carolina. Georgia's legendary Charlie Trippi played all 60 minutes. Offense, defense, special teams. The 67-yard touchdown pass gave the Bulldogs a 13-10 lead. They would not relinquish. A 20-10 victory over the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
A lot of discussion at Georgia about the greatest player ever. Most people would say Herschel Walker, but many people back there would say Charlie Trippi. If you look at Georgia's 9 appearances here in the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Of course, 2 years ago they were in the Sugar Bowl, but they had to play that in New Orleans because of Katrina. In Atlanta. Carry out to the 21 by Kealoha Polares. He is their leading rusher, and he has a total of 362 yards. Now, Hawaii's running backs combined have just carried 119 times, easily the fewest in Division I football, the FBS, but when they're called upon, 5.5 yards per carry.
And that's because the pass game opens things up so well, and for Hawaii, a lot of their runs are screens to the wide receivers and the backs, as well as the yards after the catch by the wide receivers. That's what they think generates their run game.
Brennan in trouble, and down he goes. Marcus Howard got him. Brennan with 0 time to throw. That's the way the opening quarter comes to an end. The All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana. Georgia in front, 14-3.
Back at the BCS All-State Sugar Bowl in the Louisiana Superdome, Georgia leading Hawaii 14-3, and frustration for Hawaii. Myron Newberry, defensive back, pulling his helmet off on that last series, yelling at his defensive teammates, saying, if you're scared, get back on the bus. Meanwhile, June Jones talking to Jason Rivers after that personal foul that stopped the drive and led to a field goal, and said, you can play with emotion, but that kind we don't need. Back to Tom Brenneman and Charles Davis.
Chris Myers, thank you very much. Set to begin the second quarter. Certainly an opening quarter, all in favor of the Georgia Bulldogs. 3rd and 14 for Hawaii from its own 11.
Keep an eye on the edge rushers for Georgia. With no tight ends, they usually have a free release towards the quarterback.
Brennan being chased, lays it off for Polares, but a very short gain. And the Rainbow Warriors forced to punt it away.
If you're Willie Martinez, the defensive coordinator, you're loving what you're seeing right now because the pressure is coming from these guys. They've got the free shot towards the quarterback, no one chipping off of them, and you're only needing to commit 4 to your pass rush to drop your 7 into coverage, and that's working quite well for Georgia so far.
Thomas Flowers dropping back to field the punt. You may remember early in the game, Mikey Henderson took a lick that has forced him to the sidelines. Of course, tomorrow the Bull Bash continues with a Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. West Virginia will take on the Oklahoma Sooners. Our coverage of the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl begins tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, in high definition, only on Fox. Oklahoma back to the scene of the crime. We were there last year for that unbelievable Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the thrilling Boise State win. Sutherland, his first carry at picks up a yard.
I really think this is a very important defensive series for Hawaii. Notwithstanding Myron Newberry's tantrum on the sidelines, yelling at his players, yelling at his teammates, Hawaii needs to show a little stoutness against Georgia. Right now, Georgia's had their way. In the run game, throwing the ball when they felt like it. I know it's 14-3. Hawaii has been comfortable coming from behind. It's a little bit different animal they're playing tonight in the Georgia Bulldogs. They can't afford to get way down in this game.
Michael Lafayette, number 67, just ran through Fernando Velasco.
Georgia seems to be excited about what's coming from the official.
Dead ball, offside by contact, by the defense, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
5 penalties in a game now against Hawaii.
They average a little bit less than 7 per game all season. Understand some of the nerve, some of the emotion, but they've got to settle in and start playing with the confidence that June Jones was trying to give them before the ball game.
3 backs, and they hand it off to Brown, and Ella Mimian steps right into the hole and slams into the turf. Ella Mimian, first team all-WAC performer at middle linebacker.
Sorry about that, Tom. That's exactly what Hawaii needed. And not just the hit from Ella Mimian. He had a number of teammates swarming with him. I saw Carl Noah, number 12. A couple of others. Big 3rd and short for Georgia.
Third and 2, they give it to the fullback, and Sutherland looks to have the first down to the Hawaii 44-yard line.
Heavy formation, what a lot of teams call jumbo or big. A couple of tight ends on the field, like Bruce Figgins, number 89. Tight end helped prominently on that play. Notice how Georgia huddles almost on the ball. Just turns right around and ready to go, almost an attack huddle. As soon as they come out, they're up on the line of scrimmage, ready to get after it.
Changing the play, a short drop by Stafford, and throws too high for Michael Moore, the intended receiver. 2nd and 10.
Stafford very fortunate on that play because the coverage was excellent by number 27 Ryan Mouton and number 3 Myron Newberry, backing up his words with action on that play. It's probably good that Stafford was high and away, because if the ball's down a little bit, great opportunity for Hawaii to get their hands on it.
Off to Thomas Brown. The lead blocker is Sutherland. Hard hit down at the 35-yard line, made by Eric Robinson. Another 3rd and short upcoming for the Bulldogs.
Nice hit by Robinson. The downside, though, is it's 9 yards downfield on a 2nd and 10. Left side of the line, just zone blocking. Sturdivant 77 handles his guy at the front, allows Brown to get downfield. Great job by number 89, Bruce Figgins, the tight end, controlling the line of scrimmage.
2 tight ends out of the I formation. Nearly lost the handle on the snap. And very close to another first down. It looks like Brown got there. I mean, you're getting a look at why Georgia is so tough to defense against the run. I mean, you go back to the Vince Dooley Dogs of the 1980s, and since the decade turn of the 90s and now the next millennium, the 2nd best rushing season this year for Georgia.
Kind of in reverse of what they had done with Mark Richt, who came with the identity of a guy who likes to throw the football, but he knew that this year his playmakers were his running backs coupled with a young offensive line. So he kept it simple for the Dogs this year.
First down from the shotgun. Stafford all day to throw it. And too high for Bryant, his intended target at the goal line. Well, Nissan and the all-new 2009 Nissan Murano offering fans a chance to attend the 2009 FedEx BCS National Championship game in Miami. Log on to foxsports.com for details on how to enter for your chance to win. Boy, what a gorgeous vehicle that is, that Nissan Murano.
Not to be confused with a no-Sean Moreno.
Very well put, young man.
Same type of pickup, though, I'll bet.
Noshawn is back in there. They fake the handoff to him. Flag comes down. This will be a hold against Georgia. It looks like they got Chris Davis, a redshirt freshman.
Georgia was lobbying for a late hit on Matthew Stafford going over the sideline.
Holding, number 63 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay second down.
It's Chris Davis, the redshirt freshman, All-American guard. Mark Richt is telling his guys, we look at the penalty situation, Hawaii with 5, Georgia with 3. He's telling the officials, just keep an eye on my quarterback. You know, let's make sure he gets protected too. Got you on the hold. Okay, we did it, but don't let my guy get a free shot over the sideline.
They back him up all the way to the 44 of Hawaii. 2nd and 20 for Georgia.
And not necessarily a throwing down for the Bulldogs.
Another penalty, this one on the left tackle, Sturdivant.
False start, number 77 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Not only Sturdivant, as Charles brought up earlier, a National Honor Society student and a 4.1 grade point average. He was also his student council body president. Of course, and again, when you're that big, who's going to vote against you?
I was about to say, I mean, forget stuffing the ballot box. I'm guessing he ran unopposed.
Well, he's bigger than the ballot box.
He just said, I want to be student body. You got it. It's yours.
Moreno looking for somewhere to run. Grabbing him from behind, Elimimian, along with help from Amani Purcell. Purcell, number 54, recruited by Penn State out of the American Samoan Islands. Went to Penn State, had a change of heart, came back to play at Hawaii.
His brother played here at Hawaii, now in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. Came home because his mom was ill. His father's in the military, was actually in Iraq fighting, suffered an injury and came home for surgery, and he thought, I need to be home closer to my family.
Third and 24, all-out blitz coming. The screen to Marino. Gets one block, but is tackled at the 35-yard line. This would be a 52-yard field goal try should they send Katu out there. His long this season is 47. And they're going to take a chance at a field goal.
And Katu is coming off of a pulled hamstring suffered in the Georgia Tech game, their last game of the season. I talked with him in practice the other day. I said, how are you feeling? Are you 100% healthy? And he said, yes, I am. So we're going to find out now because they're going to stretch it out on his first attempt.
Well, his career long is 58. He's got plenty of left. This one is hammered way back. Well, Brandon Katu, who hit on 19 of 21 during the regular season, says 52 yards, nothing to it.
Pulled hamstring, totally healed.
That looks like going back to the days of Kevin Butler. (17-3) Bulldogs. Uga the 6th. an 86-27 record.
Hey, they keep records on all of the UGAs, and you know when they go on to their greater reward, do you know where they're placed? Inside of Sanford Stadium, inside of a tunnel. Each has his own crypt with his name, his record, and a nice little passage.
Let's hope that's a long time away. At the 10-yard line, Malcolm Lane up to the 27. Now, there have been a number of games, in fact their most recent game, where Hawaii fell behind and fell behind big, 21-0 to Washington. Now Washington's a different animal entirely than the Georgia Bulldogs, but this Hawaii team is not going to get real uptight because they trail 17-3 with 9:30 to play until halftime, right?
June Jones cited that to us when we talked with him, and not so much the Washington game, Alabama, when they went on the road and played them a couple of seasons ago. He said, we didn't play well at all. We acted like we were wondering whether we should have been there. By the time we settled in and made it a game, it was too late. That's what he was telling his players before the game. Show that we belong early, but they are comfortable coming from behind.
Brennan steps up and throws. It's intercepted. Prince Miller, his first pick of the season, and the first one thrown tonight by Colt Brennan.
Willie Martinez, the defensive coordinator for Georgia, has to be ecstatic right now because watch the pressure up front. It's just a three-man rush. That means he has 8 guys committed downfield to cover, and the three-man rush put pressure in Colt Brennan's face.
.9:25 until halftime, and after the interception thrown by Brennan, the Bulldogs get it at the Hawaii 42. Stafford to throw, and looking down the field for Bailey. He caught it, but he's out of bounds, and then it sprung loose at the end anyway.
Mike Bobo had great field position, decided to try and take a shot downfield since the run game has been so established. In this situation, if I'm Georgia, I'm thinking about continuing to dominate the game running the football. They're controlling the clock. They're limiting the number of possessions that Hawaii has the ball and keeps Colt Brennan on the bench. Hawaii averages 15 possessions per ball game. And look, so far, Georgia dominating time of possession, which is exactly what they want. Plus is paying off in points. They have 17.
Pitch to Thomas Brown. And he is tackled at the 40-yard line by Jacob Patek, the senior out of Victoria, Texas.
Jacob Patek to the left, number 31. Look at the job he does, stoning the block by Sean Chappis, number 49, and then falling inside and making the tackle. 6 foot, right around 200 pounds, out of Texas, has really embraced the Polynesian culture, was wearing the lava, the skirt type outfit that Hawaiian players tend to like to wear off the field.
A big third down here. And they set up the wide receiver screen to Durham. What a call. And still on his feet is Durham inside the 15. Ball comes loose. And who's got it? Is it Hawaii with a football waiting on an official signal? The ball was stripped from behind after the big gain. Purcell tracking Durham at the 15-yard line. And now this Pac-10 officiating crew will get together to figure out who has the ball and where they have it.
The ball was fumbled forward and out of bounds. It was recovered out of bounds. Georgia retains possession of the spotted fumble. 1st and goal.
There you have it.
And Chris Durham breathes the biggest sigh of relief in the place. They ended up catching Hawaii in a blitz. But look at the end of the play as Durham's running. Ball's in the inside arm. Great hustle. Downfield, stripping the football by number 54, Amani Purcell. Unfortunately for he and his teammates, the fumble ended up going out of bounds. See Purcell, the defensive lineman, great hustle. Ball falls off of him. No one's possessing it. Noah, number 12, trying to get to it, but it goes out of bounds and Georgia retains possession.
Minutes and 21 seconds. Thank you.
Want to reset the clock, tack on 5 seconds to 8:21.
Who would have thought that at this stage of the game, Georgia would have more yards passing than Hawaii? A very balanced offense thus far from Mark Richt and his Bulldogs.
As Georgia offense averages 200 yards in the air per game, Hawaii 450 per game. Pump fake to the end zone. Touchdown, Bailey. Georgia Bulldogs, winners of their final 6 games during the regular season, finished in a tie with Tennessee in the Eastern Division of the SEC. But Tennessee beat them during the year, thus the tiebreaker to the championship. They feel like they're playing as well as anybody in the country. And so far in this All-State Sugar Bowl, lights out for the Bulldogs. 24-3, Georgia in front, 8 minutes to play until halftime. Let's go to the Fox jumper scope. Back to the interception by Brennan.
Willie Martinez, the defensive coordinator, loves this. Rush 3, number 55. Jeremy Lomax puts pressure on drop 8. And look at how they have the receivers blanketed downfield, leading to the interception by number 23, Prince Miller. Then earlier in the game, Georgia scored a touchdown against 10 in the box of Hawaii, running the ball. This time, they choose to go to the one-on-one route outside. Nice stop-and-go route by Sean Bailey. Touchdown, Bulldogs.
Well, 8 minutes to play until halftime. We've talked about how Hawaii has come back frequently this season, or at least a handful of times. 24-3 tells you they need a touchdown real soon. Real soon. Ryan Mouton from the 7-yard line and brings it out to the 23.
Ryan Mouton returning the kickoff tells you how important this series is. June Jones told us he wouldn't return kicks until the second half of this game because he was worried about wearing him out on defense early in the contest. Down 24-3, those thoughts go out the window. They needed a big play. They tried to get it from Ryan Mouton.
4 possessions for Hawaii. 3 and out, first possession, field goal, second possession, punt, third possession, interception, fourth possession.
See if Georgia continues to rush 3 and 4 men and continue to drop 7 and 8 into coverage.
Brennan flush out of the pocket again, slings it out to Rivers, who escapes one tackle, and he is slammed to the turf at the 35-yard line. He might be hurt. That's Donnell Ellerby, their leading tackler, that came full speed from the other side of the field to hit Jason Rivers.
He took a big hit when he got cut back inside.
Hawaii receiver Jason Rivers injured on that last play, getting up, moving to the Hawaii sideline. It's been a physical game. Senior Mikey Henderson, number 27, the regular punt returner. As fans here, Hawaii fans cheer Jason Rivers. Mikey Henderson knocked out of the game with a concussion, his first attempt on a return. This is his final game as a Georgia Bulldog player, telling me he's moving on to a different career in computers and maybe working with athletes and academics. Was emotional about approaching his last college game, a part of Georgia football, and said it helped him establish his personal life and things he can do. And Mikey Henderson said he also saw the Boise State game last year and got the idea from Ian Johnson. Mikey proposed to his fiancee senior day when Georgia played Kentucky, and now his future wife is here watching him in his final game.
Chris, thank you. And speaking of marriage, Jason Rivers just got married during the recent Christmas break. His wife with him on this trip to the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Rachel.
Wide open, and a catch is made at midfield by Greg Salas, as he is shoved out of bounds. And a penalty flag apparently came in. So we'll wait to hear again from our referee, Brian O'Kane.
Ineligible receiver downfield on the offense, number 7. He was covered on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, replay first down.
That's just an alignment error by the Hawaii receivers. And you wonder if they're just a little bit rattled right now. Talk about the Hawaii football team down 24-3. So much that they wanted to try to prove tonight, and still plenty of time to do it. That was their 6th penalty of the game. They average a little bit more than 6 penalties per game. That's it, less than 7. They're already at their limit. Someone just lined up incorrectly and made someone ineligible.
Salas caught 3 balls the entire year. They used pretty much their 4 primary receivers catching passes for Colt Brennan this season. That one batted, looked like it was tipped to the line of scrimmage and then dropped by Devon Best. 2nd down and 15 for Hawaii.
And the whole strategy for Willie Martinez coming into this game was to rotate guys in and out of the ball game to keep them fresh on defense for Georgia. He wanted to rush 3, wanted to rush 4, occasionally 5 guys, but he wanted to play more coverage and show different looks and try and disguise and confuse Colt Brennan. Because the rush is getting to Colt Brennan, he doesn't have the same amount of time to look downfield. That's why Georgia's defense has been so tough in the first half.
Handed off to Pilares, and he has good running room out across the 40 to the 41-yard line. So that'll bring up 3rd and 5 for the Warriors.
They were down Washington. Really, that was twice in the Washington game they were down 21 before they ultimately came back and won the game. A scintillating game from Colt Brennan, especially in the second half. 42 of 50 throwing the football in that game for 442 yards and 5 touchdowns.
And no interception.
No interception, but he had 20 in a row at one point in the second half.
The Warriors need badly this conversion. Not going to happen. The ball is loose, and Georgia has recovered again. Marcus Howard made the strip. Brandon Miller got on top of it.
The pressure again was not a blitz, just Georgia coming off the edge. When a team does not have a tight end, watch the pressure from the top of your screen. Beating Steinhoff, number 78, when he had to spin back inside. And once he spun, and then there's Brandon Miller, number 12, getting on the football. Yeah, the emotion that we all thought going into the game favored Hawaii, definitely on the Georgia Bulldogs side now.
Georgia has scored on each of its 4 possessions offensively tonight. 3 touchdowns and a 52-yard field goal from Katu. Thomas Brown picks up 2. Elimimian and Lafaele in on the tackle.
Exactly the game plan for Georgia. Sacks 3. That's more than probably what they expected, but what they wanted, the hits, the hurries, the knockdowns. On every pass, they wanted him to feel their presence, and he's done that tonight.
Brown in motion, 2nd down and 7. Same play they ran a short while ago to Durham with big success, and not a bad pickup here. 3rd and 1. Down to the 35-yard line.
Well, the run game, as we knew coming into it, Georgia's bread and butter. And they started right off with Thomas Brown, number 20, banging deep into the secondary with tough physical runs. And then Noshawn Moreno with the first touchdown of the game against a 10-man box for Hawaii, and he bounces back with another one.
Third down and 1 at the Hawaii 35. Sutherland and Brown in the I formation, and Brown with a football, and Elimimian slams him down at the 37. So will they try an even longer field goal here? This would be a 55-yard attempt. Stafford is trying to tell Mark Richt, let's go for it.
And that's the question Mark Richt's going to have to answer for himself. It's a makeable 4th down. Terrific play by Elimimian. shooting the gap and hitting Thomas Brown in the backfield and dropping him. A huge play needed by Hawaii because they could not continue to allow Georgia to just dominate them up front and get the yardage they needed on any carry. I think he's waiting, yeah.
You're going to call a timeout, let the play clock wind all the way down to 1.
See another example trying to take the game, shorten the game against Colt Brennan. Let it take it all the way down, keep him on the sidelines, take your timeout.
The decision when we come back. Welcome back to New Orleans. Sellout crowd at the Superdome. Boy, what a beautiful job they have done on this facility. Following, of course, all the pictures and the memories the entire country weeped over during the Katrina back in August of 2005. This will be the site of the BCS National Championship game here on Fox Monday night. 4th down and 4, and the Bulldogs have decided they're going for it. Stafford rolls right, throws, and nearly intercepted by Patek, but the Warriors have to feel like that's the first thing that's gone right for them nearly the entire game.
Georgia had what they call a triple sideline route. Rolling to the right was Stafford. He had a receiver at 3 different depths, all in his sight lines. They took away the short receiver. He went for the middle one and threw it behind him. Never gave him a chance. In positive field position for the Bulldogs.
Brennan fires to Rivers, who's back into the game. That'll be close to a 4-yard pickup. Let's check in again with Chris Myers.
Tom, Rivers is back in after they gave him the concussion check, and according to the sideline, he just got his bell rung, so obviously he's okay to continue. Meanwhile, the Georgia defense without junior linebacker Marcus Washington, number 44, he's twisted his ankle. They'll evaluate him at halftime, so Donnell Ellerbe will carry the load at linebacker for Georgia.
And also getting a little playing time, we saw number 50 Darrell Gamble, infrequently used during the season. Brennan under heavy pressure yet again. The first man there, Brandon Miller, but he wasn't alone.
Well, William Martinez did something a little different on this one, and Colt Brennan comes up limping, which is a sight no one for Hawaii wants to see. He's had a bad ankle all year long, had the concussion against Fresno State, missed most of the Nevada game before coming back and finishing the year against Boise State and Washington. But William Martinez changed up a little bit. He rushed 5 that time. You know, he's been 3 and 4 in getting pressure, changed up. Now he's rushing 5, and deep, deep, deep are his defensive backs right now. They want everything in front, and they want to come up and make the tackle on the play.
3rd and 16. High snap. Brennan hangs with it, throws to Bess, and right there to make a sure tackle is Asher Allen. 4th down and 8, and on comes a punting unit for Hawaii.
How great was that for Georgia? Remember, yards after catch is a big part of Hawaii's attack. They say that's for them, it's almost like a running game. How many yards the receivers make? Asher Allen on that play gave up 0 yards after the catch to Devon Bess. I mean, for Hawaii, that's anemic for Hawaii. They don't even understand that number of just 19. If you had told them that before the game, no way they would have believed you. They think they can juke and shake with the best of them.
Tim Grasso, a very short punt. Will bounce at the 31 and now take a couple of hops to the 25. A flag comes in. A lot of jawing going on. Number 10, Timo Paiapele, and there you get a look. Whistled for an infraction already in the game is number 29, Keenan Jones, when he put that hit that knocked Mikey Henderson out of his final game of his college career.
Holding by number 23 on the return team. Penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the end of the kick. 1st down.
Prince Miller working against Keenan Jones, the gunner, knocks the lid off. Oh, he got a whole lot of cloth on that one. Yeah, you're talking about your hands supposed to stay inside, and not that was pretty easy for the officials. And now, of course, a little filibuster emerges from each side.
Well, there was A lot of that, in fact, there was too much of that going on earlier today in that matchup of the defending national champion Florida Gators and the Michigan Wolverines. Final game for Lloyd Carr. Congratulations to him.
What a way to go out, because the consensus going in was coaching staff, everyone looking for other jobs. How settled would they be? How focused would they be? Focused enough to beat the defending national champions.
Lloyd Carr's a good man.
Yes, he is.
He is a good man.
What a great way for him to go out.
Brown barely got back to the line of scrimmage, and again, aluminium there. Spectacular pictures provided by the DLP Amazing Picture King. DLP, the official HD TV of the BCS here on Fox. It's amazing. It's the mirrors.
I'm a little surprised that Hawaii didn't think timeout here. You know why? Because of field position. If they could use their timeout, stop Georgia, and get the ball back, they would have great field position with a chance to try and score before the half. Surprised they're letting Georgia run the clock down on them like this.
Stay on the ground again with Brown. And he's leveled at the 20. 1:05, and the clock continues to run. Hawaii has all three timeouts remaining. It's amazing.
You're down 24-3. You actually have favorable field position for the first time in a long time. Your defense has stopped them on first and second down. I would have used 2 timeouts there, held the clock, and see if I could stop them on third to force them to punt and let Colt Brennan try and work and get us some points going into the half. Instead, they're going to let Georgia essentially bleed the clock down and try and go in up 24-3. To me, if I'm Hawaii, this is a mistake. You know, you've got to try and score when you can down 24-3, but this is too late.
And now they call a timeout. Wow. June Jones, 54 years old, grew up in Portland, Oregon. Played at Hawaii, was a student there in the early 1970s, went to 3 colleges, in fact, during his collegiate career. And in his 9 years has taken his team to 6 bowl games tonight, their first BCS game. Johnson. They're flying from here to there to everywhere.
Yeah, but they've got the jet.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, they've got the marquee jet. They're ready.
On the ground, Stafford. Well, the Bulldogs will have to punt it away. And does Hawaii spend a timeout now? Yes, 31 seconds left. The Warriors have 1 timeout remaining.
Still don't understand what took them so long to get to these timeouts. They would have left themselves with much more time to try and mount a last drive. So we look at the first half offense for Hawaii, season low 14, 214 in yards, 3 tonight, 103. I mean, they haven't scored less than, what, 28 points in the last 25 ball games overall, averaging 46 points per game coming into tonight. Now, Hawaii's MO has not been to go after the football. They have so much confidence in their offense that they've just been a return team under June Jones. Here would be a prime time to try and go after and block a punt and try and change momentum, but that is not what Hawaii normally does.
First punt of the night for Brian Mims, and it's a good one. Devon Best from his own 35-yard line. Flag comes down. Best still on his feet. Out to the 43, but we'll wait on the flag. Been a lot of those in a game tonight.
And Keenan Jones needs to get a new helmet because it's off again. Helmet or at least chin strap, something that's going to hold that lid on.
Been 12
Holding.
penalties.
Number 29 on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down.
For young Mr. Jones, needs a little more action, a little less chatter right now. Just go play. I understand the emotion of the game, but just go play right now.
Hawaii has 1 timeout left. 19 seconds remain until halftime. And now they'll march off the penalty. They would have had the ball at the 43-yard line, and now it goes all the way back to the 25.
Now, what if they'd had it at the 43 with more time on the clock?
Yep.
The trade-off of taking the timeouts is field position, probably.
Well, I might be off a second or two, Charles. When I go back to that last series, if they call a timeout after 3 straight running plays, they'd have a minute 20 left right now until halftime. Brennan steps up, guns it to Rivers out to the 45-yard line. The clock will stop in the college game until they get back to the line of scrimmage and reset the ball.
So you're either coming up and you either have something ready to go, or you spike it to stop the clock to set up second down. They're getting a break here because the official's still over the ball and Hawaii's already set.
Well, the whistle, clock starts, and Brennan is caught from Rennie Curran.
What a great play.
Hawaii uses its final timeout.
The pressure has been relentless all night on Colt Brennan. Right there, Marcus Howard gets to him and drops him. Now he has to try and step up again. Tripped up from behind, still takes the big hit from Jeremy Lomax. And then again, there's Mr. Howard, number 38, knocking the ball free. Brandon Miller, 12. And on the last play, Roderick Battle, number 41, flushed him right into number 35, Rennie Curran. Look at those numbers. Just the way Georgia's played down the stretch. A big reason why they've won their last 6 coming into tonight.
Well, they only had 34 sacks the entire season, and then got the 22 in the final 4.5 games. That'll be the final play of the half for Colt Brennan and the Hawaii Warriors. Time to regroup because the Georgia Bulldogs have just completely shut down the highest scoring team in all of college football. Held them to 3 points. Let's go downstairs to Chris Myers.
Georgia dominating college football's only unbeaten team, Tom, with Coach Mark Richt. And Mark, I guess one of the storylines is the way you've defensed Colt Brennan. How have you been able to do it?
Well, our guys are just playing really hard. We've got a lot of depth right now. Just about everybody's healthy. We're rolling a lot of fresh people in there and just getting after it right now.
With the lead you have and they're capable of coming back, what do you tell your team at halftime so they keep the edge?
We tell them don't look at the scoreboard. You can look at the clock, but not the score. You got to play hard every down no matter what till it strikes 0-0.
All right, we'll see you in the second half. Thanks.
Tom Brenneman, Charles Davis, Chris Myers back at the Superdome in New Orleans at the All-State Sugar Bowl. And, you know, we wondered coming in, I mean, what could Hawaii's offense do against a powerful Southeastern Conference defense? Now, granted, we're only halfway through, long way to go. But in the first half, all Georgia defense.
And they did it the way they wanted to do it, which was the pressure without blitzing. Dropping 7 and 8 into coverage, many different disguised coverages. They didn't really confuse Colt Brennan, but he didn't have anywhere to go with the ball. The pressure got to him. They put him on his back a number of times. On offense, for Hawaii, the big thing for them is their offensive tackles have to block the edge pressure. That has not happened. And that's been a very, very, very difficult thing for Colt Brennan and his receivers to overcome.
Granted, the level of competition is different, but it should be noted that last year at halftime in the Hawaii Bowl against Arizona State out of the Pac-10, Hawaii scored 3 points, and they trailed at halftime last year 10-3. They scored 38 points in the second half.
And don't think for a second Mark Richt hadn't done his homework on that and reminded his ball players of that fact, because that's an Arizona State team that this year won 10 football games and went to a big-time bowl. So they know that Hawaii is more than capable. But right now, Hawaii's defense has to set the tone and get things started because Georgia gets the ball to start the second half.
Dan Kelly bangs it away. It bounces once before Craig Lumpkin gets to touch the football. The first time that has happened since the 5th game of the year. He's been out with an injured knee ever since. Our first half numbers are brought to you by Ford, built tough.
When we look at things, look at Hawaii, 0 for 5, right? Third down conversions. That's been a big problem. Of course, the 2 turnovers, 8 penalties, some of that nerves, some of that maybe a little bit of rust, but I think overall the emotion of the day got to Hawaii a bit in the first half, almost as much as the pressure of Georgia's defensive front.
First down from their 18 as we start the second stanza here at the Superdome in New Orleans. And a quick throw to the far side, and Massaquoi with the catch, good enough for 10 quick yards, wrapped up by Patek. Let's go downstairs to Chris.
Tom, Charles was just talking about it. June Jones told me at halftime he tried to prepare his team, but on a stage this big, he really felt they weren't overwhelmed at the start of the game with emotion. He thinks Colt Brennan has had some things open, but just hasn't had time to get on the ball. Georgia overpowering him. Will have to make adjustments to protect Colt Brennan. June encouraged by the way his defense played in the second quarter. Says he expects Georgia to come out and try to run the ball down their throats. And he brought up 2 games this year. They trailed at the half, and Hawaii came back to win. Tom?
Chris, thank you very much. Thomas Brown takes a pitch from Stafford, tries to break it to the outside and maybe picked up a yard, run out of bounds by Ryan Mouton. It's been a good night for the senior Thomas Brown. Last year, halfway through the season, tore his ACL, came all the way back from that, then injured his collarbone after starting 4 of the first 5 against Tennessee, and has seen very little playing time until the final 3 games, and a good night for him tonight.
71 yards worth for the guy who just completed 21 hours of classes this last semester to pick up his degree. Both mom and dad have doctorate degrees, so he's got a couple more degrees to go to equal mom and dad, but that's a great job in the classroom by Thomas Brown.
Right through the wickets of Chris Durham.
Well thrown ball. Well thrown. Chris Durham, who Coach Mark Richt told us in our meeting was the most improved player between the end of the season and during bowl preparation. And we expected to see a bunch of him tonight, and we have. But that's one he let get away, bring up a difficult 3rd and long that Hawaii desperately needs to shut down Georgia.
3rd down and 10.
They bring pressure at him this time.
They drop back into coverage, 4-man rush. Stafford rolling, throws short of Trip Chandler. So, to begin the second half, a stop defensively for the Warriors.
Well done by Hawaii. They did a great job, but that last play, the second time tonight that Matthew Stafford gets out of the pocket and really doesn't get his feet set and deliver the ball well downfield, because he did have Trip Chandler coming back to the ball, but he skipped it to him. So Hawaii wins the first battle of the second half, and that's got to be heartening for them.
Ryan Mims to punt. And what a booming punt. Fielded by Michael Washington. Devon Best at the 20, and he brings it back 5 yards. A 52-yard punt by Brian Mims. So the Warriors and Colt Brennan get their first shot to begin the second half. Our Taco Bell impact players of the game thus far. Matthew Stafford, 9 of 16 with a touchdown pass. Marino has only carried 5 times, but 2 of those carries resulting in touchdowns. So here come the Warriors, trailing 24-3, just underway. 1 minute and 2 seconds into the third quarter. A long way to go. Don't count them out quite yet. Down goes Brennan yet again. The 6th time Georgia has sacked Colt Brennan, and he had been sacked less than 30 times this season in over 600 pass attempts.
The hard part tonight are the tackles for Hawaii. That's Keith Asun, number 62. And when I talked with a number of coaches who have played against Hawaii, they all said the same thing. You can attack off the edge at the tackle position, but you've got to have the men back deep who can play coverage. Georgia has all of those elements. That's why the pressure is able to get to Colt Brennan.
Brennan lets it fly to Bryce Mullen. He spins away from one tackle and is chopped down. Again, let's send it downstairs to Chris Meyer.
Tom, every team has a water boy, but Georgia has a water wife. Mark Richt's wife, Catherine, got tired of just cheering from the stands and I want to help. So she's become, in essence, the water boy, being joined by a couple of their sons. They have 4 children for this game today. And Mark Richt said that She actually works. She shows up 4 to 5 hours early with the trainers and gets ready. And there's no husband and wife talk during the game, but they do get into it a little bit after games discussing strategy.
Great stuff. I think it tells you that shot we saw of Catherine, and it tells you all you need to know about her and her husband and her family. She's down there pouring water for the players in the biggest game they played this year. Brennan, was it intercepted or was it trapped? They're saying interception. Second of the night thrown by Colt Brennan.
Asher Allen, the defensive back. And notice where the ball is. Coming into this game, Colt Brennan is nearly a 71% completion percentage quarterback. That's one of the more inaccurate throws you'll ever see Colt Brennan make. The only person who has a chance at this football is Asher Allen. That's very unusual coming from the Hawaii offense and Colt Brennan. The pressure is there consistently in his face, makes the coverage that much tougher. And again, a huge, huge stand now for Hawaii's defense, because you know Georgia wants to run the football and run clock.
Moreno back into the game, slowed down and still finds a hole, a small crease, and that's all Noshawn needs to carry to the 33-yard line.
Still doesn't take him long to get off the ground, does it, Tom?
Nope.
Doesn't matter how many people knock him down. He ended up forcing Myron Newberry to miss on that play. He gained extra yardage. But if I'm Mike Bobo, the offense coordinator at Georgia, I know controlling the clock is a big deal, but right now you've got Hawaii so loaded up selling out against the run that I think the pass game is there for Georgia if they choose to take it.
Stay on the ground for the time being, and again Moreno carries inside the 30, needed to get to the 27 for a first down, and that will depend upon the spot.
I know people always want to compare Noshawn Moreno with Herschel Walker right now because of his exploits here as a freshman, but they go about their business a little bit differently. Did you see that last move that Noshawn Moreno just made? The last 2 plays, he's made people miss and gotten downfield. Herschel was somewhat elusive, but he was much more of a power and speed guy, would run away from you as well as run over you.
Moreno running through would-be tacklers and down to the 15. Well, you look at the great names in the history of the SEC as freshmen. Herschel, the all-time leader in 1980, led him to a national championship, 1,600 yards. Your alma mater, Tennessee.
Lewis.
Back in 1996. Emmitt Smith in 87 with the Gators. And now Moreno, the 4th leading freshman tailback in Southeastern Conference history, and it spans 75 years.
That is some list, isn't it? And to be number 4 on that list behind 3 guys who've had tremendous careers post-college.
Timeout on the field. 24-3 Georgia knocking on the door again.
This is Major Russ Black coming from Iraq. This shout out goes to my Uncle Bob, the biggest, greatest Georgia fan in all the world. Lead them to victory, Uncle Bob. Go Dogs! Sick 'em! Hoo, 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 hoo!
Great stuff. Stay well, Sergeant Black.
Yes. Look, he's a movie star, too. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil had a little role.
Exactly right. First down for the Gators. Opening minutes of just the 3rd quarter, and Moreno already with a couple of touchdown runs in the game tonight is bottled after a 3-yard pickup to the 11.
And so many times we come out of a half and we talk about halftime adjustments that teams have to make. For Georgia, there were no adjustments other than what Mark Richt told our Chris Myers going in at the half. Quit looking at the scoreboard. You can look at the clock, but not the score. Continue to play hard. Do what you're doing. Because Willie Martinez's defense doesn't have to make any adjustments yet. It's still working for them. Offensively, again, no adjustments. The line still controlling things here to start the second half.
2nd and 7, play action fake, ball tipped in the air, and is it intercepted by Patek? Yes. First turnover of the game for the Bulldogs. To say they needed that turnaround is the understatement of the night.
I know the Georgia fans are thinking, we're running the ball so well, why are we throwing it? But this is a nice play in the middle. Looked like Adam Leonard tipping it up for the interception.
Hawaii starts its second drive of the second half inside its own 5-yard line. Brennan lays it off to Pilares out of the backfield, and he picks up maybe 3.
Georgia is so quick on the defensive with their defensive ends that they actually initially took away the pass pattern that was completed. Jarius Wynn, number 99, off the edge, rushing the passer, actually took a step inside to take away the initial look by Brennan. He had to come outside to get the ball to Pilares.
Well, Georgia has littered the NFL with defensive players over the last 5 seasons under Mark Richt. Brennan incomplete off the hands of Devon Bess. His defense has 6 first-time starters this season, allowed 21 points per game. A defense a year ago sent 7 players to the NFL, and over the last 6 years, 29 Bulldog defensive players have moved on to the next level. That is staggering.
You know, one of their favorite expressions in Athens is tradition never graduates. So when everyone was worried about their defense this year, as we see Trenton Sturdivant, the starting offensive tackle, walking off, everyone was wondering how they would play this year. Well, the Georgia Bulldogs defense answered that question, and Hawaii still 0 for the night on 3rd down.
Brennan throws to Hawthorne, and he is wrapped up, no yards after the catch. But did he get enough for a first down? It is very close. It is a first down.
Just enough yards after catch. The last time this graphic was posted, it was 19 yards after a catch. Now they got 1 more, and they barely got enough after the catch there to Hawthorne for that to go, for that to work. Missed tackles for Hawaii, 14, Georgia 1. That is a phenomenal job of tackling by Georgia against one of the better offenses in America.
They're coming after Brennan, and the ball is tipped again at the line of scrimmage. I mean, the pocket, whatever pocket there has been, has just completely collapsed. Almost as soon as Brennan is catching the ball out of the shotgun.
And with Hawaii, watch, there's not much retreat from the offensive line. They try and catch you on the line of scrimmage because they know that the ball's going to be they know that Brennan will get rid of the ball quickly. But Georgia's rush is getting there so fast that it's actually eating up that time that Colt Brennan normally has. That's fast, because Colt Brennan has one of the better releases in the country. The ball's out of his hands, and Georgia's still getting pressure in his face.
Low snap, nice play by Brennan. Plenty of time this time. And after going through the hands of Brian Evans, it hit Jason Rivers right in the face.
Brian Evans did just enough to distract Jason Rivers. You know, I mean, ball should have been picked off. But there's Willie Martinez, the defensive coordinator. Played college football for someone we know pretty well, a man by the name of Jimmy Johnson, the University of Miami. And right now, Willie Martinez is coaching the game of his life this evening. His plan being executed nearly to perfection by his Georgia Bulldogs.
Third down and 10 for Hawaii. Look out. Ball is loose. Scramble for the football in the end zone. And they're saying touchdown, Georgia. Brennan shaken up. Marcus Howard had a clean shot on Brennan, who had no idea he was coming.
And all night long, Willie Martinez has rushed 3 and 4. Well, this time he brought 6. And Marcus Howard gets inside of Keone Steinhoff. Free rush to the quarterback, knocks it free. Touchdown, Georgia. And Hawaii can only hope that Colt Brennan's wrist is okay. Came off seeming to hold it.
Trying to take a look at actually who covered it up and was awarded a touchdown. Looked like Howard delivered the hit. They may have come down on top of it. Brennan flexing that right hand. Here's the hit. We know that's Marcus Howard. It's a touchdown for Georgia. Pressure, pressure, pressure all night. Howard with the sack and the touchdown.
Been off the edge all night, but look here. Look at Howard, number 38. He sets up. Steinhoff fakes outside, comes inside, knocks the ball free, and he gets credit for the recovery and touchdown in the end zone.
I tell you what, Mr. Howard is putting himself in heavy consideration for the MVP of this game. He has 3 sacks and now a touchdown.
And the pressure on Brennan, 7 sacks has really been the least of it. Not 10 knockdowns, 11 pressures. And how about this one? Marcus Howard, his first starting assignment came this year, his senior year. 37 games in his career before he gets his first start as a senior.
Coming back across the 30, out to the 35, the 40, and all the way to midfield is Ryan Mouton, but flags are all over the place. They're at the 30, they're at the 45, and they're at the other 45.
So we may have to ice down some elbows of some officials, huh? Way they're flinging around the laundry.
Yeah, you're not lying. It's 13, now 14 of them tonight.
Holding, number 59 on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Let's check in downstairs with Chris Myers.
Tom, one of the reasons, and Charles, that one of the reasons that Marcus Howard had to wait to get that chance to start for Georgia, he played behind guys like Quentin Moses and Charles Johnson, who were both in the NFL. And after yesterday's walkthrough, he told me, we know how good Colt Brennan is. We may not get to him, but if at least we make him feel uncomfortable, we feel like we can win the game. Well, so far, Marcus Howard, the Georgia defense, they've done a lot more than that.
Uncomfortable. We're well beyond that, Chris, for Colt Brennan.
First down from their own 10 after the penalty. And thrown behind Jason Rivers, and you couldn't blame if Brennan heard the footsteps. I mean, he took a lick the last time he dropped back on that sack and touchdown for Marcus Howard.
One of the antidotes for all the pressure that Georgia is giving them, draws, screens, stuff that you can try and get them past them. You haven't seen a whole lot of that. The pressure's there so quickly. Another antidote is throwing the ball downfield to back off the pressure, back off the defensive backs. But they've had no time to deliver the ball downfield on longer routes.
Throw, and again just off the mark. C.J. Hawthorne there. Heavy pressure again, this time from Brandon Miller.
They are well coached, and the defensive line is Georgia. If we look at the numbers Colt Brennan's put up, the biggest one being sacked 7 times. Rodney Garner is the defensive line coach and their recruiting coordinator, one of the better ones in the country, but he's also a terrific football coach. Sometimes you get known as a recruiter, people forget you can coach guys up. Tonight is a testament to his coaching because most of the pressure has come from his defensive line. Even if they don't get the sack, they get their hands up in the passing lane as they did on the last play.
Play clock expired. Did they get off a timeout? You saw Brennan signal for it. And they are awarded the timeout before the play clock expired. First one used in the second half by the Hawaii Warriors. 8:40 to go in the third, all Georgia. 3rd and 10 for the Warriors, trailing the Bulldogs 31-3. Brennan has hit on 17 of 27 for just 131 yards without a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Too high on the intended receiver, Devon Best. And again, Brennan has to get off the ground. A flag is down on the play. This could be, we'll see.
They got him for, it's going to be roughing, Tom. A little over exuberant at the end. They've hit him so many times They don't know how to go back there and not hit him anymore. And this was going to cost
Roughing the passer, number 58 on the defense. 15 yards, automatic first down.
Redshirt freshman DeMarcus Dobbs.
An excellent special teamer. Dobbs, he played very well, had a big tackle earlier tonight. That was one they just did not need. The drive was over. All the hits, all the sacks, all the pressure has started to make Colt Brennan inaccurate in throwing the football. See, that's pitch and catch for him, and for, that wasn't even 58 Dobbs, it was Gamble, number 50. You have 2 steps before you bump into him. Darrell Gamble really was the man who should have had the penalty against him, not number 58. But Brennan not getting his feet set, not delivering as accurately as he normally does downfield, it has taken a toll on him this evening.
Tried a little shovel pass to Polares, and like everything else tonight, read beautifully by the Georgia defense. It's not to say they haven't had great coverage tonight, but they haven't needed great coverage tonight. I mean, Brennan just has no time to throw the ball.
Tom, when I played at Tennessee, my best year covering people was my freshman year. You know why?
You led the conference in sacks.
Reggie White was playing defensive line for us. So we were starting, I was a redshirt freshman, another guy was a redshirt, two sophomores in the secondary, one who used to be a linebacker. Reggie White was the greatest thing that happened to a young secondary. Case in point tonight, whether they're young or not, this pressure has made the coverage that much more substantial.
Well, now another penalty flag comes down before they even break the huddle.
There is no foul on the play for an illegal substitution. Hawaii called timeout. Their second of the half.
Wow.
Well, while Colt Brennan walks to the sideline, let's again check in on our sideline with Chris Meyer.
And down on the Hawaiian sideline, more than 60% of the players are Polynesian or Samoan, Hawaiian. The first actual Hawaiian to play in the Sugar Bowl, Herman Wiedemeyer from St. Mary's College in California, nicknamed Squirmin' Herman, proud of the heritage and Hawaiian flag. He scored a touchdown, a unanimous All-American, scored a touchdown in that Sugar Bowl game, was actually a Heisman Trophy finalist. Old Squirmin' Herman later appeared, Tom, in an episode of the TV show Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, one of the greats, Jack Lord, as I recall, Mr. Myers.
I have his hair.
Hold a second. Chris, did they book him?
They did book him, Tom O and Charles O. Speaking of hair, quite a lot of interesting hairstyles on this field tonight,
including our very own Jimmy Johnson.
Chris, out of the 3 of us, I think you're the only one who could approximate one of those hairstyles. Tom and I don't have enough left to go for it.
I got plenty of gel.
But how about Squirmin' Herman Wiedemeyer at St. Mary's College? Many people won't remember St. Mary's used to be a football power. You should travel east and have big games against teams like Fordham. How about that? Back when a certain man named Lombardi was one of the 7 blocks of granite.
Ooh. Second down and 10 for the Warriors. Running out of the shotgun, a 31-3 Georgia lead. Catch made by Rivers, and he is tackled again immediately. Outstanding tackling when there have been completed passes tonight from the Georgia secondary.
The average of holding them to 3 yards or less after catch is definitely being met by the Georgia secondary tonight. Because they knew if they gave up big yardage after the catch, they were in for a long evening. Because that's what Hawaii's offense is predicated on. Only 1 missed tackle tonight for Georgia.
I wouldn't want to be that guy in the film room. That might be the only thing they can say has gone wrong.
Got to find a way to jump on someone, right?
That's right.
That'll come up right before spring practice to show what we need to do to improve, guys.
Brennan, a completed pass and chopping down the big man again is Asher Allen. Jason Laumalo out of the backfield, and that's a big thump.
That's a lot of man right there. Limping off, we're trying to limp towards the sidelines. Yeah, that's his first catch of the year.
Laumalo will head back to the sideline. Carry the ball from time to time.
Right, but that's his first catch overall. You know the 15-yard penalty for roughing the passer? It's the 3rd longest play, I believe, tonight for Hawaii on offense.
Who would have thought?
Not us.
And he is wrapped up and thrown to the ground by Darrell He's a man getting playing time tonight after the injury to Marcus Washington in the opening minutes of the game.
One good thing about having a young defense to start the year, going into spring practice, is that you get a lot of guys, a lot of reps. And Willie Martinez, defense coordinator, told us sometimes you just bite the bullet and throw guys out there to get them on the field so that if something goes wrong later and a guy's hurt and you have to play a guy, it's not his first time out there. And that's paid dividends tonight with guys like Gamble coming into this type of a situation.
Only 130 yards of total offense for the Warriors. Catch made by Rivers, and he will be a little less than a yard, it appears, away from a first down. Dannell Ellerbe on the tackle. We are ready for that.
My kind of matchup right there. Can Ohio State run the football against the vaunted defensive LSU? Can LSU move it against Ohio State's top-ranked defense?
Polares picks up the first down and then some down to the 45-yard line. I think you and I have been both very surprised at, I don't know if venom is the right word choice, but there certainly has been
some quarters
something like that directed towards that Ohio State program this season. I mean, it's not some Johnny-come-lately program. No denying they had a terrible game in the championship game last year. It's a bad game. They've won 7 national titles, and along with USC, have the best record in college football the last 7 years.
And what I'm with you, I don't understand just how hard people have come at Ohio State in the Big Ten because of that. 3 times now, they're going to play for the national crown in the last 6 years. I don't think that's a fluke.
And there's Devon Bess, and he's inside the 35, down to the 34. And it should be noted, just FYI, by the way, in that SEC Big Ten debate thing, the Big Ten has a winning record over the SEC in bowl games in the last 5 years. Just FYI, maybe not the biggest one like we saw last year, but they have a winning record.
Last 26 times going into this bowl season, I believe it was 13-13. Last 8 games, it was 5-3 Big Ten. The problem was it was the biggest game on the national stage, and it was a wipeout. And that's what lingers in the minds of most people. Ohio State has an opportunity to change that perception.
Or LSU can reinforce it.
Exactly. Either way you look at it.
Polares away from one tackler, away from a second tackler, cannot evade a third tackler, and that's Rashad Jones, a redshirt freshman from Atlanta.
This overall speed for Georgia. Watch how they continue to run things down. It's a missed tackle by Wynn and another one, but they still spill it and have enough people to come up and make it a lost play. Rashad Jones getting credit for the final tackle. But Polares showing some moves, and you know what he credits his moves to? Playing freeze tag as a youngster. Instead, Georgia froze him with a loss.
Brennan looking down the field, an open receiver, perfect pass. No, they're saying he's out of bounds.
They thought they had a play there, and as it turned out, wide receiver out of bounds. Kind of the story of the night for Hawaii. Even when they finally get one off, the end result is not what they wanted or expected. And Georgia continues to rotate defensive linemen in and out of the game to keep fresh legs coming at Colt Brennan.
So Siave Seti fired up over on that far sideline, thinking they had made a connection. Here they come. And bobbled, then intercepted. Again, Marcus Howard got a hand on it. Dannell Ellerbe snatches it out of the air.
Marcus Howard having a night to remember. Number 38, hands in the passing lane, bobbles it, tips it, and Dannell Ellerbe, the middle linebacker, on the pursuit. Nothing like a great tip drill. If you're a defensive back, linebacker, ball stays in the air, and Georgia celebrating. Defense, the watchword. Is that Willie Martinez? Getting a deserved ride from Dannell Ellerbe. I mean, this is
Howard's the MVP right now, Charles.
you got to mark him down, don't you? Because defense has been the story for Georgia tonight.
Thomas Brown runs into his own man, and it's thrown to the ground by Amani Purcell. Had help from Michael Lafayette.
I do understand that Georgia wants the clock to run. They want to run the football in order to accomplish that. But Mike Bobo has done a nice job tonight of throwing on the early downs. And I think he may want to consider that again to try and release a little bit of pressure that Hawaii is going to bring in the front. Because right now it's going to be difficult to run against so many men in the box. It's Mike Bobo all the way to the left in the baseball cap.
Well, after this game tonight, Mike Bobo goes back to the real world.
5 kids.
We'll talk more about that in a minute. Under heavy pressure and a throw caught by Massaquoi to the 37-yard line. Take a look at the Joper scope presented by Fox.
So Colt Brennan looking downfield. Everyone's saying what's going on with him, but it appears that the route was run incorrectly. So we watched the receiver running inside. That's Ryan Grice Mullen. And the ball's thrown to the outside. That's one I said was inaccurate. Wide receiver inside, Colt throwing into another spot.
Stafford on the reverse. This is Bryan inside the 30, down to the 18-yard line. First down, Georgia. Purcell runs him out of bounds. To finish that thought about Mike Bobo, former great Bulldogs quarterback, now their offensive coordinator. He was the MVP of the '98 Outback Bowl. 5 children under the age of 3.
Including triplets. I think his wife is Laney.
Think about that, folks.
Congratulations, Mrs. Bobo.
Were any of you blessed enough to be parents out there? How about 5 of them under 3 years old?
Remember we asked him what happens when you walk in the door? He said, just 5 kids come rolling at me. You're here, take them. Glad you're home, honey, but a nice call on the last play by Coach Bobo with the reverse to Bryant.
Slant, and is it a touchdown? Yes, to Mohamed Massaquoi. A bullet delivered by Stafford. And Brennan's been taking bullets.
That was a big league throw, Tom. Fran Tarkenton talked about Stafford in the pregame show when he talked about him having as much ability as any quarterback in the country. He said he had the best arm of any quarterback in the country. You could see why he made that evaluation with that throw.
Like they're going to review this play.
Probably looking at, I'm thinking they're looking at the spot Massaquoi came down to determine where it's a touchdown or not. I believe the throw will be fine. Look at that laser shot. Look at this. Bam! Now, whether Massaquoi was in the end zone or not, I think is the question. I mean, look at how he spins that one in there. And the catch is his knees are down. So I think we're going to end up having a goal line play for Georgia coming up first and goal. But the throw, never in question. Both knees down, so it should be on the 1 yard line, first and goal, Georgia. Tom, wow. Wow.
Well, the Georgia fans chanting overrated. I mean, at this point, what's the point?
It's not necessary, is it?
No, I think you've gotten all you need out of this one so far tonight.
I mean, that's become kind of the in vogue chant that just, listen, does anyone understand what Hawaii did this year? One of the things people, I think, are missing, they can talk about their weak schedule. They only play 2 teams with winning records. Rated number 137 in the country in terms of, I get all that.
First, the receiver caught the ball, was down at the 1 yard line prior to breaking the goal line, playing first and goal.
But Hawaii played all year long under the idea that one loss ended the dream. See, we're going to a national championship game with a combined 3 losses with teams because from those conferences, a loss doesn't end your dream. But coming out of the WAC, One loss, any loss. So every week was an elimination game for them. That's a lot of pressure to carry around all year long, and I think that Hawaii handled it quite well. I don't think there's any doubt about this call. Do you think, Tom? Tailback carrying the ball behind the big line and the lead blocker.
Be honest with you, I'm a little surprised at this point that Mark Richt has not gotten Craig Lumpkin
Illegal
in the game.
substitution on the defense. 12 men on the field, not breaking the huddle and completing their substitution. Half the distance to the goal, remains first down.
Well, he had him in for a kickoff return. He also got A.J. Bryant in, another senior who's been hurt, only played 6 games, and he carried on the reverse.
I think he wants to get Brown a touchdown.
I think it would be nice for him to get one. Unlike Walter Payton not getting one in a Super Bowl, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Let's take care of Thomas Brown, who's been a good one. Or even Brandon Sutherland.
Well, Sutherland's got another year.
It's amazing for Brandon Sutherland. Last year, he led this team in scoring. First fullback since Darren Sapp at the University of Georgia. This year's role was reduced with the emergence of Moreno, Brown being around, Lumpkin, of course, before he was dinged up. A lot of guys that qualify for the, hey, coach, can you take care of me category.
Well, when you think that Lumpkin was the leading carrier in yards for the Bulldogs last year, was #1 on the depth charts, and they get Thomas Brown the ball, and Thomas Brown dives into the end zone. So the senior who just earned his degree, you talked about the 21 credit hours this last semester to earn his degree, celebrates by leaping into the end zone, a touchdown. His mom and dad have been married for 35 years, and they are going to celebrate with their son after this one tonight.
Just think, they met at another SEC school. They met at Ole Miss. Both have their doctorate degrees. Dad is a bishop of a church in Mississippi. Actually has about a 2 or 3 state region.
Of the Methodist Episcopal Church.
And he's got a sister who I believe has her doctorate. So for him, that's what's expected in terms of academics and in the classroom. Congratulations, Thomas Brown.
Get back to that momentarily. Ryan Mouton from the 3, a 38-3 Georgia lead. Mouton out to the 40, to midfield, and tackled at the 44-yard line. Good return by Ryan Mouton.
You got 2 fullbacks in, Chappis 49, Sutherland 36. Big push up front. Look like Vince Vance, number 72, who's come into the ball game for Trenton Sturdivant. Plenty of guys wedging just enough of a crack for Thomas Brown to vault through for the touchdown.
So Brennan right back out there is hit on 21 of 34, 163 yards without a touchdown pass tonight and 3 interceptions. He has been sacked 7 times and hit 3 times that many. Shovel pass batted down, incomplete.
And the reason that's not a fumble is because he can throw it on in. As long as that's thrown behind the line of scrimmage like that, as the guy comes down the line underneath, goes down as an incomplete forward pass.
Another round of American Idol makes its season premiere 2 weeks from tonight. Charles, I know you'll be dialed in.
I know what I want.
Your daughter's a big fan of that show.
Big fan. Big fan. But you know what she really likes most of all? She likes watching the auditions. You know, seeing the people come in, and usually when she sees a particularly bad one, she says, well, if they can do it, you can do it, Dad. So she knows my singing ability is pretty limited.
Down again by Donnell Ellerby. 3rd and long for the Warriors. Well, the Superdome. A lot of enthusiasm before the game tonight. Still a lot of enthusiasm on the Georgia side, but this place will be turned inside out come Monday night. Of course, the LSU Bengal Tigers, a short trip down the road from Baton Rouge. And I'm not sure anybody in the country travels as well as Ohio State.
If they do, it's only going to be a tie because no one travels better than Ohio State.
Brennan, a quick slant to Rivers, and that's to the 38-yard line. C.J. Bird on the coverage and limping off is Rivers, who had one of the most memorable games in bowl history last year. In fact, set an NCAA record with 308 receiving yards against Arizona State.
And he's not going to get credit for that catch. They ruled it incomplete, said the ball hit the ground as he limps off the field.
You know, it really is a shame for the country. I mean, you know, Georgia fans take it however you want to take it. I mean, I think a lot of the people in the country wanted to see this offense get into some kind of a rhythm and do the things they've been doing all year long. You're talking about a trio of Rivers, Bess, and Bryce Mullen, who came in with 799 receptions, almost 11,000 combined yards among that trio. Two of them have a season left, Bryce Mullen and Bess. It just hasn't happened tonight, and give Georgia the credit for that.
Give them a bunch of credit. They're going to review the last pass. It was ruled incomplete on the field. Or it's actually been challenged by Hawaii. Their one challenge of the game. June Jones trying to keep something going here rather than bring up a 4th and 11. And Tom, to your point about not seeing Hawaii at its best and seeing the high-flying offense, many people are very critical of the so-called run and shoot. As we look again to see if this is a catch or not by Jason Rivers. Hands, ball's falling free, hands. I would think that they're going to rule he didn't have possession as the ball hit the ground with the hands on the side of it. If he'd been underneath, he would have been fine. But anyway, so many people have been critical of the run and shoot. Oh, that's a gimmick offense. Oh, you don't get anything done. When we spent time with June Jones, he kind of said, you know, I think we've been vindicated on this run and shoot thing. Because even if people aren't calling it that, our principles are all over the country. Look at the NFL. Number one team in the
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Hawaii is charged a timeout. That is their final timeout of the half.
So it went down incomplete. The Patriots are 16-0. 4 or 5 wide receivers spreading the field, throwing the short. So many
Nobody
teams
does
are
more of that
utilizing
than the Indianapolis Colts.
Right, so you can go right down the line where people said it would never work and never be successful. Well, teams have won Super Bowls with those same principles. So we're just not seeing Hawaii at their best tonight, but don't say it's the offense.
And you can tell that that is something that has bothered June Jones for a long time. I think, you tell me if you agree with this, it sounded as though he was particularly bothered by people that broadcast the games on television, people that played in the NFL that were long retired. I mean, I recall like yesterday going to our Fox NFL seminars and hearing, you know, some former players that had nothing but bad things to say about 4 wide receivers in this kind of offense, and you can't win, you can't do this, you can't do that. Peyton Manning and company ran it almost identical last year.
Tom Brady 16-0 this year with a lot of those principles. Now, even if he caught it, based on what I'm looking at, it appears to be a little bit shy on a 4th and 11.
Go to C.J. Hawthorne.
And C.J. Hawthorne, a terrific story. And it looks like oh, they got it. So get thee to an eye doctor, okay? Because I missed that one. Well, Hawthorne's from Biloxi, Mississippi, not too far from here. Had a very tough go. Mom left the family when he was young. Dad passed away when he was in high school. A lot of turmoil. He's made his way out to Hawaii. Graduated in December. The first in his family to graduate from college. What a tremendous accomplishment. Yep. And June Jones said, we let him play defensive back for a while. What was I thinking? I never should have let him go over. That's how much he thinks of that young man as a receiver.
Is Georgia challenging this call?
I see your challenge, I raise you one. I think he's challenging the spot. I really think that he's challenging the spot because I thought that where he had caught it was behind the first down marker, but that remains to be seen.
Copy. Mark Richt out there having a few words with Colt Brennan and C.J. Hawthorne.
Here's the catch. Okay, see where he's down. There's the catch.
It's
So
easily a first down. Easily. That's not the same play. That's a play we saw a
that's the
moment
play
ago.
we saw with Rivers where the ball was incomplete, where they determined it was incomplete on the replay. You know, Brian O'Kane is going to need a good lozenge after this is over. As many times he's had to go to the mic with penalties and announcements, and challenges and everything else. Georgia side still having a good time. A lot of great action coming up this week as we change the calendar to 2008. And I will say this, I'd be very leery about West Virginia tomorrow. Everyone thinks they're in disarray without their coach. But we saw some of that effect today. Michigan worked out pretty well with them, and these kids will have something to prove in this ball game. They had a fine year, and they want to get the taste of that last game against Pitt out of their mouths, too.
I think it spoke volumes about that Michigan program today that you have a coach that stepped down and Lloyd Carr walking away, and everybody okay with each other enough that Rich Rodriguez is standing on the same sideline watching the game. After some of the ugly situations we have seen since the college football season ended on this coaching carousel, that was refreshing. I cannot believe we are sitting here waiting this long on a challenge in a 38-3 game with 24 seconds left in the third quarter. It's unbelievable there was a challenge on the play to begin with.
They have to be, I mean, the challenge has to be on the spot, and they're trying to figure out with the camera angles and everything, did it hit that yard line, did it not?
Let's go downstairs to Chris Myers.
Tom, Charles, while we have a minute, we talked to Jerry Glanville, former NFL head coach. He's at Portland State. He was the defensive coordinator here for a couple of years just a year ago, and one of the reasons, although he was rooting for Hawaii, he did not think that they would be able to win this game are the two things that we've seen play out tonight. And of course, practicing against Colt Brennan and this terrific offense. He said he thought Georgia would tackle well once the receivers caught the ball, and he thought there would be a mismatch, only because not so much the system that June Jones has put together, but the competition, the Western Athletic Conference, the kind of schedule they play, hasn't really prepared them for what they would see against this Georgia defense today. But he said what June Jones has done for Hawaii football could probably never be matched.
Yeah, he later added that he felt that June Jones was the best college football coach there was out there. When you think about all the things. The story ran the other day, and we had heard it from June Jones long before it ran. Their annual budget for recruiting is $50,000 a year. Now think about this a second, folks. $50,000 a year. He has not gone on a recruiting trip to the mainland of the United States in 3 years. The recruiting budget for Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Florida, USC, you fill in the blank.
Pick one of them.
Well in excess of $500,000.
After review, the ruling on the field is reversed. Incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down on the 45-yard line going in. Please reset the game clock to 30 seconds. 30 seconds on the game clock.
See, I thought they were challenging the spot, and maybe they were, but in any event, they got an incomplete pass out of it. So they said, hey, he didn't catch it, the spot was bad. Pick what you want, but go look at it, please. And Mark Richt wins his, so he gets to retain a timeout. June Jones lost his.
We're getting back to June Jones. Story has been well told about the carpet is still the same in his office. Just completely run down offices.
The drywall, the new offices that partly is up, but has been that way for about 3 years. What did he say that when he walked in, it's the same carpet Dick Tomey had as head football coach there?
It is just an amazing thing, an amazing job that June Jones has done. The year before he got to Hawaii, they were 0-12. And here he is bringing them to their first ever BCS game with a 12-0 record.
So now they're back on the headset. So this has to be over this. Is this over the previous spot where the ball was put in play initially to start the down?
Exactly, because it was an incompleted pass on a 4th down try.
Okay, so call me crazy, but why did the chains move while they were debating it? You know, so you should know where the ball was from the chain and the previous down marker. You know, Uga, any ideas? You see those ice bags?
Uga's ready to
those
take
ice
a
bags
seat.
those ice bags are to keep him cool. He actually lays on those to try and keep him cool.
Correction, the ruling on the field is reversed. It was an incomplete pass. That was a 4th down play. Ball goes over on downs, 1st down, Georgia.
There we have it. And Uga's ready to cool off that boiler a little bit. Working up a lather down there. Look at that boiler getting chilled down a bit.
How about Uga's, the family that raises the Ugas? I think they've been doing that for excess of 50 years.
Yep.
The Seiler family. Talk about a labor of love. But Uga lives better than most of us.
A lot of people look like Uga waking up this morning here in New Orleans.
Welcome to the new year.
Pass is completed to Michael Moore, and he is run out of bounds at the 38-yard line. You were talking about the family that raises Uga. I mean, that's good stuff.
It is great stuff.
Uga's big.
Hey, not only that, when Uga was in the movie, in the Garden of Good and Evil, the owner, I believe it's Sonny Seiler, he was also in the movie. Played a judge in the movie. Big time trial attorney, I believe he is. And the whole family just got star written all over him. And let me tell you something. We're going to see Mike the Tiger come rolling in here for the championship game, who has a $1.5 million habitat he lives in on campus. Life's good. Uga's not far from living the same way. He has his own trailer, air conditioning. You talk about a dog's life is pretty darn good.
It would be nice if all of them had that life.
Yes, it would be. It would be nice if we had that life. What are you talking about?
They're down to the 35-yard line. And that will be the final play, you would assume, of this 3rd quarter. So 15 minutes to go at the All-State Sugar Bowl, and the Bulldogs offense sprinting down the field. They're ready for this final quarter in the careers of many. Georgia on its way for a final chapter, leading 38-3. Welcome back to the All-State Sugar Bowl, our BCS Bowl Bash here on Fox. Our game summary presented by Dodge. Noshan Marino in the opening quarter, a pair of touchdown runs. Solid night for Stafford.
Yes.
The big story, the Georgia defense. 7 sacks. Howard has 4 of them, including the sack and the fumble recovery for a touchdown. You still going right now through 3 quarters of Mr. Howard as your MVP tonight?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a force that they've had no answer for all evening.
And you and I do not vote.
We have no vote. But if we can influence someone.
Massaquoi close to a first down. He has a first down as the 4th quarter is underway. The Fox Sports crew, that would be the pregame show crew, travels to the BCS Bowl games, powered by NetJets with their marquee jet card.
Hold a second. Do you have one of those?
No, I don't.
Do you have a NetJets card?
No, that would belong to Chris, Rose,
Jimmy Johnson,
and a handful of others.
And theirs is platinum. It's a big-time card.
But you and I are down here for the duration.
That's
anyway.
right.
They've got to get all the way to Phoenix tomorrow
Phoenix.
night. They're flying back after the game tonight.
Miami.
Then after the game tomorrow night, they fly cross country all the way to Miami. So good for them. Shoved out of bounds at the 22-yard line as they continue to throw. So, I mean, you take a look at the Jet, you look at where they're going. This is some serious flying. They came from L.A. yesterday. Got in about, 11:30 last night. Now will fly tonight to Phoenix. Fly after the game tomorrow night all the way to the FedEx Orange Bowl. And then right back here. Actually, for Jimmy, I take that back. Jimmy's got to go back to Los Angeles.
Right.
For the NFL on Fox
And
Sunday for the playoff
come
game.
back.
That's right. Jimmy's got some major league trout.
Okay, our bad. Enjoy the jet. You deserve it.
He does.
But can a brother get a ride just one time?
No. You know that.
Just one time.
Delay of game by the offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Let's go downstairs to Chris Myers, who doesn't have his net jet card either.
Well, Jimmy Johnson needs that jet to carry all his hair gel and hairspray wherever he's going. We kid because we care. Matthew Stafford, he wears number 7 because you talked about his arm strength. John Elway, one of his heroes, but he grew up in Highland Park in Dallas, where Troy Aikman, our own Troy Aikman, the former Cowboy, just built a big house. And so he really grew up an Aikman fan. And he said that once he met Mark Richt, that recruiting was over. It's a guy he wanted to play for, and he described his personality as calm and relaxed, much like his coach.
Stafford had a Snapchat juggled snap out of the air, turns the corner, and then runs out of bounds at the 27-yard line.
Coach won't stay very calm and relaxed if he sees snaps like that continue.
No.
But we talk about Highland Park, Chris, bringing that up. From Texas, his journey to Georgia, meeting Mark Richt was part of it, but there was another, there were other things that brought him there, a lot of different connections, and now they're seeing what they call the Stafford effect back in Highland Park. Applications to the University of Georgia for high school students from his school, there are about 150 applications now. Normally they're talking about 1, 2 that would go to the University of Georgia before Matthew Stafford matriculated there.
And to the corner of the end zone, a jump ball, Evans. For Newberry, I beg your pardon, along with Massaquoi, it's incomplete. A 4th down, and on comes Coutu.
Coming right at you. Putting some air under it. Nice positioning by Myron Newberry, getting in front of Massaquoi to knock the ball away. Nice defensive play.
45-yard attempt for Coutu. He's already hit from 52 tonight, which, by the way, is a BCS bowl game record, and this one just drilled. Man, what a leg that kid has. He could have made 2 from 65 tonight, maybe longer than that. Big lead night for Coutu.
It's the theme in Hawaii. I always joke that it seems like sometimes in Hawaii, the game is who can be nicer, who can be more, giving and more, open and more enjoyable to be around. I mean, they stress having fun in life more than anything else.
One thing we learned after spending a couple of days around this Hawaii team, it's a team very much faith-driven, Charles. I think it's safe to say their head coach, June Jones, a man of great faith, especially since that car wreck where he was told by a doctor that medicine and the medical profession had nothing to do with saving his life. The doctor said it was divine intervention. But there is certainly a spirituality about this team that is very different from many of the teams, all of the teams, quite frankly, that you and I think have been around the last couple of years.
And when we talk about spirituality and faith, we're talking about a sense of brotherhood. We're not just talking religious. That's one of the things about this Hawaii team. What do they call it, Ohana?
Mm-hmm.
Ohana?
Ohana family.
Ohana, the sense of family. Family doesn't necessarily mean blood. Quick example, they have a freshman who's redshirting, who did not make the trip, Daniel Matiago. His mother was passing away in the hospital.
Free kick out of bounds by the kicking team. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line, 1st down.
He called one of his teammates, told him how grief-stricken he was. They all came to visit her before she passed away.
Our Allstate Good Hands play of the game. We have said the name Marcus Howard a great deal tonight. Biggest play of his career. A sack here in the Allstate Sugar Bowl. Fell on top of the fumbled ball by Brennan. Touchdown, Marcus Howard.
He really could have put him in for 2 good hands plays. Remember the tip ball where he tipped it 3 times before Donnell Ellerbe picked it off? He's been an awfully active young man at defensive end this evening.
Colt Brennan on the field for the final quarter of his unbelievable 3-year career at Hawaii. Born in Laguna Beach, California, grew up in Santa Ana, where he was once Matt Leinart's backup at Mater Dei High School. Spent 1 year at a prep school in Massachusetts. And you heard the story in our pregame show. If you weren't with us, he walked on in Colorado, and then got into trouble. Pleaded guilty to trespassing and burglary charges, spent 7 days in jail, was dismissed from the Colorado team, transferred to Saddleback College in California, played 1 year, and then in castaway-like fashion wound up in Hawaii, where he turned his career and his life around. Another sack, this one by Geno Atkins, and Brennan has not gotten up.
And it's almost to the point now, he's been hit so many times. Number one, you think, please let him get up. But number two, at this point, maybe it's just time for him to take a breather.
You know he wants to stay in there, though.
But he's going to have to come out for at least one play because the trainers came out to see him, but he's a big-time competitor. I just wonder, as many hits as he's taken tonight, maybe get him a break.
Tyler Gronke is the backup, a junior out of Tucson, Arizona. Let's go downstairs again to Chris Myers.
Tom, on the Hawaii sideline, while we check on Colt Brennan's injury, he almost left after his junior year. In fact, was planning on it when his coach June Jones said to him, and the San Diego Charger job had opened. People talked about whether June might be called for that pro job, and he made a deal with Colt. He said, if you come back, I promise you, no matter who calls for the pros or any other job, I'm staying to coach this team. Colt Brennan said, you got it, I'm back. And of course, the year that the two of them had together and onto the pros goes the quarterback. What happens to the coach is another story.
Devon Best, a catch from Tyler Gronke. And there are, there are many rumors out there. We all know there's going to be a number of changes at the next level of football in the NFL as far as coaching carousel is concerned. Already, some of that has started already with Brian Billick in Baltimore. But, look, it's going to be mighty hard to continue this whole operation at Hawaii. Not to say it can't be done, because June Jones has done it.
He's done it, and he can continue to crank it. I mean, just the money that they make from this one, they pour it into some of the infrastructure for the football program, upgrade the facilities. They're expecting to clear a little more than $4 million as he delivers another strike downfield. Gronke does. So if you put some of that in there, upgrade some things, give him a little more money for recruiting and other things, he can continue to keep this going. That might make it attractive enough because his contract does come up at the end of this year. So it's up to him. Plus, don't forget the colleges all are sniffing around at June Jones too. There's a whole lot of that in the NCAA level. Hey, is June available? Hey, would you be up there?
Gronke still in there for Brennan. And a catch made by Devon Bess. Or no, C.J. Hawthorne, I'm sorry. Number 2, a flag is down. Colt Brennan, wants to get right back in there.
I don't think it's a bad thing that Coach Jones holds him out for a while. He's had a very tough night.
Well, you remember early in the year.
By number 2 on the defense against an eligible receiver. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
I mean, with 3 games to go in the season, Brennan had what everybody thought was a concussion, although all of the symptoms of the typical, if you will, concussion really weren't there.
But they made sure.
But June Jones, recognizing Colt Brennan's future and what may lie after football, he said, you know what? We might be undefeated. We might have 3 games to play, 3 games to win to get to a BCS game. You're not going to play two plays. And they had to beat Nevada with Gronke as a quarterback.
Well, Tyler Gronke was in the game now, leading the way.
Running hard is Daniel Libre. He's down to the 23-yard line. A junior from the main island.
Well, we've talked about how difficult it's been, but a picture always tells 1,000 or more words about what kind of an evening it's been. Been pressured, harassed, hit, flushed from the pocket. And the more times he's been dropped and bumped into, ball comes free, touchdown for Georgia. The accuracy has gone down, which is normal for any quarterback going through the duress he's gone through this evening.
Gronke, a strike and a first down catch made by Rivers, and he's to the 15, called the 16-yard line before he's run out of bounds.
Don't you like what you're seeing from Hawaii right now, though? You know, with the kind of evening they've had, they could have very easily just tucked this whole thing away. But you don't see that out of this team. You know, you see what you see where the pride is. Understanding what they've come over here to try to do probably isn't going to happen, but they're going to do it to the best of their abilities. And Tyler Gronke played well in his start against Nevada. 33 of 46, 358 yards and a touchdown in a game they obviously had to have, and Dan Kelly kicked the winning field goal.
First down, Gronke with time, throws to the end zone and batted down. Good coverage, good closing speed there by Keelan Johnson. Oh, what a delightful kid he is. You know, another kid in a day and age where you don't see a lot of it. A mother and a father that met during college at Bethune-Cookman. They've been married 29 years. And his mom and dad told him every day of his life, Keelan, there are a lot of things in this life you don't know. One thing you can always know is your mom and dad love you.
Yes, they do. And he is a self-described mama's boy, so he's got to talk to mom every day, or he just doesn't feel right.
Shovel pass to Libre. And he's to the 15-yard line. For more on Colt Brennan, let's go back downstairs to Chris Myers.
Well, they examined his lower back, Tom, but it was interesting. In the last couple of series, Colt Brennan twice tried to run out onto the field. June Jones said, no, stay back. We want to make sure you're okay. He was practically begging to get back in the game. And even at halftime, I asked June Jones how physically Brennan was. He said he was shaken up, hit a little bit, but strong enough to go. But obviously a little bit sore right now, anxious to try and get back into the game. It appears his coach won't let him at this point.
Gronke steps up and a touchdown for Ryan Bryce Mullen. 16 yards, and Brennan happy but certainly frustrated. He wanted to be the guy to throw that touchdown.
Doesn't matter the score for the Hawaii fans, the band. They've come a long way to see the first touchdown in BCS history for the Hawaii Warriors, and they're going to celebrate it for all they're worth.
Point after is good by Dan Kelly. So the first touchdown comes with 10:32 to play in the final quarter for a team which averages 46 points per game. 16 yards. Gronke to Bryce Mullen. In Athens, Georgia band, REM. We've had some good musical groups come out of that area. B-52s.
There you go, a little Love Shack.
You better believe it.
Huh? REM, that was a big time group. I remember being in school and their hits were everywhere. But you know, being in Knoxville, we couldn't play REM because they were from Athens.
That's exactly right.
You know, in SEC country, they draw the lines everywhere.
That's exactly right.
Doesn't matter what it's about.
Marcus Brown, number 11, back. 41-10, Georgia in front. And Brown across the 25 to the 30, the kicker to beat. Marcus Brown down the sideline, and Kelly got hands on him and catching him all the way from behind. Brian Keomawa. Got to give it up to Ryan Keomaka. He didn't give up on the play, and a great run back by Ramarcus Brown.
Not even close did they come to giving up on the play.
Greg Lumpkin gets the football. You know they so badly want to get this young man a touchdown. I mean, when you think that his freshman year in 2003 carried for over 500 yards. He missed the entire following season hurt. Came back, rushed for 335 yards as a junior, as a sophomore rather. And then was their leading rusher last season. In fact, the final 2 games of the year wins against Auburn and Georgia Tech. Lumpkin was the man. He was #1 on the depth chart when the season began. He hurt his thumb, came back, hurt his knee, and has only played in a total of 5 games the entire year. And they throw it into the end zone and get it out of the hands of Tony Wilson. Joe Cox, by the way, is now taking over at quarterback.
Backup who followed Chris Leak in high school in North Carolina. One of the great programs there, Independence High, I believe, in North Carolina, Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
But Craig Lumpkin went to Mark Richt during bowl prep and said, listen, I know I've been hurt. I know I haven't been able to run with the first unit and all that. I just want to find a way to contribute in this, my final game. He got his graduate. He graduated last year, came back for this season. I just want to find a way to contribute. And then he tweaked his hamstring in bowl prep.
He's working on a master's degree.
Yes, he is. Young guy hasn't had much luck with injuries lately, that's for sure.
Well, both of these seniors, both Lumpkin and Brown, have been nicked up for the better part of the last year, if not year and a half. In Brown's case, the ACL last season. You're going to make him get back on the field. I think Hawaii was signaling for a timeout, and Hawaii doesn't have any timeouts.
No flag.
Blitz coming. Cox steps up. Incomplete. DJ Gartrell, the intended target.
After Hawaii signaled for the timeout with no timeouts left. In basketball, we know that's a technical foul and, you know, lost possession. In football, just check with Dave Kuteya, the supervisor of officials for the Pac-10. It's no foul. You know, it just gets waved off. You start, you know, you just go ahead and start the down again and play. That's why there is no flag.
Timeout, Georgia.
I think they got confused about what they wanted to do.
41-10, Georgia in front. Take a look at the Fox jumper scope. The touchdown a moment ago for Hawaii, their first tonight.
Hawaii's offense predicated on timing and precision. Watch how this ball is coming out of Tyler Gronke's hand, and watch the receiver. He has not even turned his head to look. Trust, understanding where you're supposed to be, ball delivered. At the end of the play, he had broken free. That timing, not much in evidence most of the night due to Georgia's defense putting so much pressure on Colt Brennan.
Fourth down and goal, and the Dogs are going to go for it. Rolling out as Cox throws, and it's right through the midst of senior Sean Bailey. Talked about the Fiesta Bowl coming your way. Tostitos Fiesta Bowl tomorrow night. Last year, Charles, you and I were there. Boise State against Oklahoma, down by 7. Jared Zabransky, the hook and ladder play, working to perfection. Jared Rabb runs it in for the touchdown. Peterson in the overtime gives Oklahoma the lead. Following a Derek Schumann touchdown, Ian Johnson, the 2-point conversion on the Statue of Liberty to win it for the Broncos, 43-42 in overtime. And more Tostitos Fiesta Bowl action coming your way tomorrow night right here on Fox as our BCS Bowl Bash continues. What a catch made by C.J. Hawthorne on the throw from Tyler Gronke.
And what a throw by Tyler Gronke, who took a real wallop back in the pocket. That was beautifully done on both ends. Gronke standing and delivering, and Hawthorne laying out to catch the football.
Veely, the Warrior, still hard at work tonight.
Never slowed down. I watched him when it was 41-3, and he was still going to work.
Farmer run down from behind by Akeem Dent, redshirt freshman from Atlanta.
Tom,
Under 9 minutes.
Tom, earlier we were talking about brotherhood in Hawaii and how they do things. On the night before the Nevada game, June Jones called the team together and told them that Colt Brennan wouldn't play very much, if at all, the next day. The whole team went up one by one and told Tyler Gronke how much they believed in him, how much they cared about him, and kind of affirmed him as their quarterback going into the next game. And he delivered a big-time performance and a win for Hawaii.
Catch made by Bryce Mullen. There's got to be a flag on that play.
And there
right?
is.
I mean,
it's there.
You know,
it's there.
I got to tell you, Charles, I mean, we've got 10 minutes left in this game. And, you know, you never tell your kids to stop playing hard. But Georgia's gone for it, throwing on 4th down inside the 5 here a moment ago. And now you're getting some kids who haven't played a lot this season or played a lot tonight, but that makes you scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah, a little too much exuberance at the end of the play, Rashad Jones. And
After the play, personal foul, number 50 on the defense, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, 1st down.
And then what you've got there, whistles were blowing, guys getting in a little bit too much on that one. The going for it on 4th and 5 with the backup quarterback, you see a lot of that in football. You know, I got my backups in, I give them an opportunity to run offense and play. I'm not sure it's in the forefront of Mark Richt's mind, but they have talked about getting set up for next year. Where they talked about finishing on a positive note, going into the polls higher next year because they believe that they should be playing for a national championship the way the season ended this year.
But let me ask you seriously.
I'm just saying, you know, I'm
buy
not
into that poll stuff next year. I mean, you really believe voters sitting around in August are going to remember what you did in the 4th quarter, leading a team by 31 points. There's an interception. You really believe that those voters, when they sit down, they say, well, this team won their bowl game by 30 and another team won their game by 40. So the team that won by 40, I don't put them higher in the rank.
I don't think it's that technical, but I think they like to see how teams finished up. And if they have a bunch of guys coming back to next year, they go, oh, that's my hot ticket for next year. And that's what Mark Richt's looking at. He remembers Auburn not starting high in the polls, costing them 1 year. So he's trying to position his team as best he can. Again, I don't think it's forefront in his mind, but I don't think it's totally out of it either because he has talked about it.
BCS record 6th turnover in the game tonight.
They've been absolutely relentless on defense.
Yeah, they've been great.
Just relentless the whole evening.
And I don't want anybody to think that I'm sitting up here picking on Mark Richt. Not at all. I mean, he is a delightful guy. He's a kind man. He's an open man, a compassionate man. I mean, some of the things he's done in his personal life, taking his family on church missions to Honduras. He has 4 children. 2 of them came the usual way. Another 2 were adopted from an orphanage in the Ukraine back in 1999. I mean, he's just a delightful guy, delightful family. I'm just looking at a game where a team is getting run into ground and you're throwing the ball on 4th down inside the 10-yard. It's a legitimate question.
I understand the question. I really think that when he has backups in the game, he wants to give them every opportunity to shine also.
Good point. Incompleted pass on 1st down. Second down throw there, I beg your pardon, by Cox. Well, there you see the most turnovers in a BCS game. Oklahoma and Miami each with 5. But tonight, Hawaii 6. The quarterback has been sacked 8 times in the game. It's been a long night. Georgia has been spectacular on defense. No 2 ways about it. Here's Lumpkin, and he's tackled out of the 34. So Georgia will punt it away.
Yep, they can go ahead and get those ready to get distributed. The All-State Sugar Bowl champs, 2008. This will take Georgia to 2-1 in BCS games all time. All of them Sugar Bowl appearances. West Virginia game we touched on earlier, the game that was played in Atlanta after Katrina where they lost. And that one. Big win obviously for them here tonight. And they beat Florida State in another Sugar Bowl here.
This has really been an unbelievable run that Mark Richt has had in Georgia. I mean, when you look at what the Bulldogs have done.
Remains 4th down.
Georgia has the best record in the Southeastern Conference. #1 over the last 6 years, over the last 11 years. The last 6 seasons, 63 wins against only 15 losses. And one of these days, they're going to get a shot for the national championship game. It's going to happen.
The way this program is operating, I think they were tied with LSU for that figure coming into this one. It's really a remarkable job that he's done here. And considering the level of competition in the conference, and getting people ready to play each and every week against that competition.
Michael Washington out to the 25. Of course, it was 1980 season.
Correct.
Capped off in the 81 Sugar Bowl. Georgia against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. A first quarter kickoff mishandled by Notre Dame. Bob Kelly recovered it. 2 plays later, Herschel. One of his 2 touchdowns. He finished with 150 rushing yards, was a Sugar Bowl MVP. And Georgia crowned national champions under head coach Vince Dooley, 17-10 winners.
You know, I was talking with a friend, as we have a Georgia player down after that play. I was talking with a friend about that game, and he said, and I can't quote the numbers directly, but he said in that game, Notre Dame outrushed Georgia. Notre Dame outpassed Georgia. Herschel ran for 150, but Georgia finished with less yards than that running the ball because of other people having lost, and they end up winning the ball game. Talk about resourceful.
Oh, yeah.
There's the 2 kickoffs that weren't fielded, and they scored in short fields.
Marcus Dobbs getting up slowly.
Someone's always assigned to get the punter. Now, one thing to remember about that is that was a clean block on the front end. I mean, just because you're the punter, you're still legal to be lined up and taken out, Mr. Brian Mims.
Timo Paiapule.
I mean, what he got was a shot in the back afterwards from Mr. Mims.
Well, at least Mr. Mims not backing down.
No, he's not backing down. Just you're supposed to take him from the front. Last time I checked the rule book.
There you get a look at the All-State Sugar Bowl trophy, which will be presented to the Georgia Bulldogs at the end of this one.
Incomplete pass. Again, the shovel pass. Doesn't matter how it's thrown. Overhand, sidearm, underhand. Doesn't matter as long as it's forward pass. Ball batted back, incomplete, not a fumble.
So very clear that June Jones is going to play the rest of this one with his backup Tyler Gronke.
I applaud him for it, frankly. You know, whether Colt could come back or not is not the question. You know, I just think the idea of, hey, you've had a marvelous career here. This is not happening tonight. You've showed your courage. You've hung in there. We know you're a competitor. Son, it's over for this one. We love you.
Catch made by Bryce Mullen, and he falls out of bounds at the 42, depending if they were to give him forward progress on the spot. Gronke a bullet to Devon Bess, and that's a first down to the Georgia 47-yard line.
2 things hit me as we watch Hawaii go down the field here. We talked about Georgia, which has been rotating linemen and linebackers every snap the whole ball game to keep them fresh. Hawaii's 4 main receivers hardly ever come off the field. Incredible conditioning to run patterns and come back. We're not used to seeing that out of very many programs. And Tyler Gronke getting some experience in now. You know where he opens his season next year? In the Swamp in Florida. Season opener for Hawaii. Tyler Gronke should be the quarterback.
Off the hands of Bess, run a little bit behind. Gronke has hit on 9 of 13 for 104 yards since coming on behind Brennan. And of course has thrown their only touchdown pass of the game. Well, June Jones 3 times has been the WAC Conference Coach of the Year. Mentored quarterbacks Timmy Chang and Colt Brennan, both of whom, of course, rewrote the NCAA record books. They won a total of 12 games in 5 years before Jones' arrival. So Libre takes it down to the 38-yard line. And of course, they did not win a single game the year before he took over as head coach.
In his first year, they won 9 games. Went from 0-12 to 9-4. One of the remarkable turnarounds. And, you know, Chris Myers talked earlier about talking to Jerry Glanville, and he talked about the job June Jones has done, maybe one of the better jobs out there. In a sense, Bill Snyder-esque, what he did at Kansas State. You know, based on what we've talked about with recruiting budgets and facilities and trying to get players and not being able to recruit the mainland, incredible job he's done.
Run out of bounds at the 20-yard line. It is Jason Rivers playing in his final game as a Warrior tonight. Again, let's check in with Chris.
Well, the support for the Hawaii football team has gathered momentum with June Jones, but going back to 1923, Hawaii football, when they traveled to California to play in the Rose Bowl, it took a 5-day boat trip. Over years, travel improved, a 9-hour airplane ride until we got into the jet age. At that time, they'd stay a couple of weeks on the mainland to play, and now just a 7- or 8-hour flight. But they have been well represented here. June Jones asked the fans to wear white. He said, "We may be an island, we may play on an island, but we are not an island at Hawaii."
Shovel pass to Libre, who's wrapped up in tackle. I mean, some of the ways that some of the fans got here from the Hawaiian Islands, just staggering how badly they wanted to get here. I met a guy today that went from Honolulu to San Francisco to Los Angeles to Atlanta and finally to here. And that's just one of many. There's some that landed in Baton Rouge and drove. Some that went to Mobile, Houston.
You name it. Anywhere they could get, and not very many direct flights. So people trying to save costs said, okay, break me into, you know, here, 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 and here, whatever it's going to take. And I read one where the guy's going to have to get in the car after this game and drive back to Houston in order to catch a flight and get back so he can make sure he makes it to work.
Well, it's a once-in-a-lifetime, so far, once-in-a-lifetime trip. Not to say they can't get back again. Flag on the play as we're down to the 3-minute mark.
Holding, number 62 on the offense, 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
That's Keith Asun, one of the American Samoa players on this Hawaii team. He lives on a small island, Waleasoa, an 8-hour boat ride. Now think about this for a second. An 8-hour boat ride away from the thriving metropolis of Pago Pago. So Pago Pago, the capital, and then to get to where he lives, you got to take an 8-hour boat ride. But his mother made the trip all the way here tonight. She's only seen him play 2 games his entire career until tonight. Well, some of the amazing pictures you've seen tonight, provided by the DLP Amazing Picture Cam. DLP is the official HD TV of the BCS on Fox. It's amazing. It's the mirrors. That's a cool camera.
It's unbelievable. One thing we do know is that the Georgia defense tonight, no smoke, no mirrors. Just pure effort, execution, terrific game plan. And they were absolutely phenomenal tonight against the most high-powered offense in the country coming into the game.
Pump fake one way, down the middle the other way, and just out of the reach of Devon Best. So 4th down, and Hawaii will go for it.
No quitting these guys. They're still pitching. Same guys out there trying to make it happen, to put the numbers on the board. Didn't come all this way for nothing, did they? Didn't come this way to say, okay, it's been fun, we're at it. No, not at all.
I'd like to see that DLP camera on Uga.
Are you sure?
I would. I would. You're a dog lover. I'm a dog lover. Let's get a look at the cool camera on Uga. At last check, he was cooling down that boiler. Rivers was out of bounds when he caught it. So the Warriors will turn it over on downs. We're down to the 2-minute mark. Aerial coverage tonight from high above the Superdome in downtown New Orleans. Brought to you by Bud Light. Endless refreshment from start to finish. Bud Light keeps it coming. And of course, we'll be right back here again on Monday night for the All-State BCS National Championship game. The number 2 LSU Tigers and the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes. Blake Barnes, third-string quarterback, will come in as they assume victory formation.
If you're the winning team, the prettiest formation in football.
All right, Mr. Davis, let's take a peek ahead to what's coming up next. It'll be the DirecTV postgame show. Chris Rose, Jimmy Johnson, Fran Tarkington have the All-State Sugar Bowl trophy presentation, and the most outstanding player will be announced.
Coach Rick showing some agility. They didn't get all of him with the bucket. They got a little bit, but they didn't get quite all of him. Not bad for the greatest quarterback ever, as voted, I believe, in the West Palm area where he played high school football. You know, he beat out a former player of his at Florida State, Anquan Bolden, for that honor. Not many people remember that, but Mark Richt was a big-time quarterback coming out of high school, played at the University of Miami. Unfortunately, he played at the same time a young man by the name of Jim Kelly played.
Not good timing. Our game tonight produced by Mike Birch, directed by Rich Russo. Our associate directors Tom Yohe and Darren Foster. Our broadcast associates Justin Deutsch and Andy Cavanaugh. Our technical producer Frank Phillips. The senior producer is Bill Brown. Our executive producers at Fox Sports, Ed Gorn and David Hill. We thank Mark Wagner, Scott Snyder, and many, many others. Our entire crew from here in New Orleans, and they're starting to hand out those caps.
These caps are better than gold for these guys. All their efforts culminating in a Sugar Bowl championship. Yeah, I want to thank everyone from Hawaii and Georgia who helped us get ready and prepare for these games. Just terrific people all the way around.
Especially both coaches. I mean, they were just wonderful in both sports information departments.
All right, on the field with senior Keelan Johnson. Georgia celebrating. Congratulations, impressive performance.
Thank you so much. You know, Hawaii is a great team. Coach Burton's a great quarterback. They had one of the wide receivers, but we knew we had to get physical with them today, and we did that. Our D-line played wonderful. Our secondary played wonderful. I mean, we had a wonderful coach staff, and they drilled it so hard this week. They drilled it so hard.
Now, where do you think you can wind up in the final polls? Are you #1 material?
We're #1. You know we're supposed to be in that national championship game. The nation know it. Everybody back home, you know it. Hey, you know, we just blessed to be here in the Sugar Bowl. It's an unbelievable experience, and we thank God for it. We thank God for it.
You put on quite a show, the Georgia defense. Thanks, Keelan.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year, Tom.
Chris, thank you, and thanks, Keelan Johnson. We told you he is just, that's
if you
a
want
special
Stafford,
kid.
we tape it.
So when we come back, the trophy presentation, and we'll name the most outstanding player.
Welcome to the DirecTV postgame show on Fox.
Well, we're back at the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and a victory hug and kiss. Husband and wife. She's been serving as the team's water girl, Catherine Rick, the entire season. And her husband, after doing a couple of interviews, comes over and has to make sure he gives her a kiss. He talked about it. And Charles, this is, I mean, a very, very impressive night by the Georgia Bulldogs.
Dominating. And if they wanted to make a case about being one of the better teams in the country, if not the best team, they made their case tonight about how well they played. Incredible performance, and now they get to look ahead to 2008, where they think they'll be really good.
Well, Mark Richt is making his way to the podium. Our Chris Rose is standing by, and we will be back for that All-State Sugar Bowl trophy presentation after this timeout.
Welcome back to the DirecTV postgame show on Fox.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the field, Fox Sports' Chris Rose for the All-State Sugar Bowl Trophy presentation.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the entire All-State Sugar Bowl Committee, led by its president, Ray Gendron, and its CEO, Paul Holohan, and all its wonderful volunteers, we want to thank you for a tremendous week, and it is time right now for the All-State Sugar Bowl Trophy presentation. Ray?
Chris, this has been a great week for the All-State Sugar Bowl, and on behalf of the Sugar Bowl Committee, I congratulate the players, the coaches, the staff, and the fans of both the University of Georgia Bulldogs and the University of Hawaii Warriors. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ron Corbin, who will present the awards.
Ron?
Thank you, Chris. Coach Rich, on behalf of All-State, our 70,000 employees and agents, we'd like to congratulate you and the University of Georgia football team for an outstanding performance. And we'd like to present you with the 2008 All-State Sugar Bowl Trophy.
Coach. Congratulations. Do you think your team was making a statement that perhaps you should be playing in this building on January 7th?
We just played it. We just want to play as hard as we could. We're thankful for the opportunity. We love our fans. You all blacked it out one more time. Thank you, Georgia. I want to thank the players. They're awesome. The coaching staff is fantastic, and their families, our administration. What a blessing. We're blessed to be at Georgia. We're just glad to be in this game.
You know, you held Hawaii with the highest scoring offense in the entire country to season lows in points and passing yards and everything. How in the world did you not slow that team down, stop it?
Well, it was a great job by Coach Martinez and his defensive staff. Our players did a beautiful job. We were healthy. We substituted 7 defensive ends at least, 5 interior defensive linemen. The goal was to play hard every single down regardless of the score, and we did that.
Coach, congratulations. And now it is time to award the most outstanding player for the Georgia Bulldogs. Ron, take care of that.
Yeah. Marcus Howard, we'd like to congratulate you for winning the Outstanding Player Award for the 2008 All-State Sugar Bowl Trophy and outstanding game. Congratulations.
Pick it up, Ian. Marcus, you are the first defensive player to win this award in almost 30 years. You had heard all week about the Hawaii offense. Is that what motivated you guys to put on that performance tonight?
Yeah, first I just want to thank the man above for just blessing me. But, you know, that motivated us. Our defensive coordinator, Willie Martinez, told us just to come out and play fast, and that's what the defense did.
You feel like you guys should be playing in this building next Monday night?
Almost definitely. I feel like we're the #1 team in the country.
Well, a job well done. Marcus Howard, Georgia Bulldogs, congratulations. They are your 2008 All-State Sugar Bowl champions. Tom Brenneman, take it away.
Chris Rose, thank you very much. Congratulations to the native South Carolinian Marcus Howard. First year as a starter, and you cap it off by winning the most outstanding player at the All-State Sugar Bowl. That's pretty good.
Welcome back to the DirecTV postgame show on Fox.
Well, after the trophy presentation, the Georgia Bulldogs players will go celebrate with their fans. Was such a rabid following of football for both of these schools. And let's send it back downstairs to the gang. Chris Rose, Fran Tarkington, and Jimmy Johnson.
All right, Tommy, thank you very much. I don't know what to say. I mean, this was as impressive as you could ever see, I think.
Well, Chris, we talked about it at the top of the show, how Hawaii was probably overmatched with Georgia. And Georgia just had such a dominating defense, a BCS record, 6 takeaways, 8 sacks, and they just completely shut down the Hawaii offense.
You could have a run and shoot
You can have the spread offense. You got to have players. Georgia just overmatched to the head. More players, bigger, faster. A total mismatch.
And they also have a victory, 41-10, the final over Hawaii. Jimmy, we're getting on that Marquis Jet. We are
Marquis
off to the
Jet, I'm ready to roll
right now. Huh? Let's go.
Let's
get it all
go.
revved up.
Let's head to Arizona.
So tomorrow night, we will see you out from Glendale, Arizona with West Virginia and Oklahoma. Fran Tarkenton, thank you very much. Congratulations on the Georgia win.
Appreciate it, Fran.
Back to Tom Brenneman.
Chris, thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you guys after your trips to Phoenix, to Miami, and then we will reconvene right back here at the Superdome Monday night for the BCS All-State National Championship game. Tonight belong to the Bulldogs. Glad to be here and to be alive.